when I really have to put my neck out on this job, and this seems to be one of them. Easy now, big man. I'm here with worldwide wrestling champion Bob Backlund. And Bob, first of all, so nice to meet you. I've seen you on television a few times and kind of marvel at some of the things you guys are able to do. The whole professional wrestling business really fascinates me. Professional football players, I guess, have played football since they were little kids, and Major League Baseball players the same. I'm wondering about wrestlers. Where does one begin?
I started when I was 10 years old wrestling in 4th grade, and I wrestled in high school, and I wrestled in college, and now I'm wrestling professionally. I probably started just as young as any other athlete in any professional sport.
Was this organized wrestling in the grade school, grammar school days?
Yes, it was.
The kind of wrestling that we see in the high schools and colleges now, but they had it where you came from at a very young age.
Yes, very young. In the Midwest, wrestling is very, very popular. When I won the national tournament in college, there was 15,000 people there. That was at North Dakota State in Fargo. But they started real young, and that's what you have to do in wrestling. If somebody else starts young and you don't, you can't compete against them.
Tell us about where you grew up. Are you a country guy? You mentioned North Dakota State.
Well, I grew up in a small town named Princeton, Minnesota. It's about 2,500 people. I lived on a farm all my life and grew up out in the country. And then I went to a junior college down in Iowa, in Forest City, Iowa. It's called Waldorf. And then after that, I transferred to North Dakota State. And what I said before, it's in Fargo, North Dakota. I played football in college, and I wrestled in college.
What kind of a football player were you? By size, you look like you might have been a good one.
Well, I was an All-American in football in college, and then I was an All-American 4 times in wrestling. So I did a little better in wrestling. I guess that's why I'm wrestling professionally and not football.
Now, when you're in high school and college, do you watch professional wrestlers at this level, or are you strictly interested in the amateur wrestling?
Oh, I used to watch wrestling on television, too. I used to watch a man by the name of Vern Gagne. He wrestled on the Olympic team for the United States. He wrestled at North Dakota State, and he grew up in Robbinsdale, Minnesota, which is about 40 miles from where I live. And he was one of the all-time great professional wrestlers in our area.
All right, when was the decision made to become a professional wrestler, and how was it made? What were the circumstances? Could you, for example, have been a professional football player? Might you had a tryout somewhere?
Well, possibly, but I did, like I said before, I always did better in wrestling, and wrestling had been a big part of my life since I started in it so young, and I really enjoy what I'm doing. But when I won the national tournament, there happened to be some people there from the World Wrestling Federation, and they spoke with me after the tournaments, and I thought about it, and it's been the right decision so far.
What year was this?
That was in 71, and I had one more year of college left, so I got out of college in 72.
So 1972, you really came on the wrestling circuit, and by 1978, you were the Worldwide Wrestling Federation champion.
It took me about a year before I got into professional wrestling. I started in 74, so it took me a year of training, learning the different holds, the submission holds, because you can't use any of those in amateur wrestling. Amateur wrestling, you're not out to make anybody give up, or there's a lot of, you can't pick somebody up and slam them down on a mat. You have a point system in college, and you have a shorter time limit, so there's a big adjustment. In professional wrestling, there isn't as much defense as there is in amateur wrestling, because you don't have to worry if a guy takes you down. If you're in a bad position, let him take you down and go from there. But in amateur wrestling, you got to counter it, because you know he's going to get 2 points, and the 2 points can mean the match, or it can mean the national tournament, or it can mean the state tournament for any of the, if you're in high school, whatever.
Still, 4 years it's kind of amazing that you can just start out and 4 years later be the #1 guy in the business. Those early years, is a difficult adjustment, just the traveling and the whole new life kind of thing?
Oh yeah, it's a hard thing to adjust to. You have to like to travel, and at first you have a lot to learn. It's kind of disappointing for a long time until you get adjusted to the difference. Your body is very sore. It's like with your job is you get a job, say as a tender, and when you're for somebody laying blocks, you're going to be very sore for about 2-3 months. You're going to want to quit, and then after maybe 6 months' time, you're going to be able to work all day, and you're not going to get sore. You're not going to have any your hands aren't going to get tore up, and that's the way it is in professional wrestling. But it takes 2-3 years, and sometimes you know, if you get a good blow, it's going to hurt you. But your body does adjust to a lot. You know, just like your body adjusts to weightlifting. For after you do it for a while, your body doesn't get sore anymore.
When you won the title, who did you beat, and what kind of a match was it?
Well, that was in Madison Square Garden against Billy Graham. That was February 20th. So it's almost been 2 years since I held the title. It lasted about 18 minutes. There was 26,000 people there, and it was the biggest thrill of my life by far so far, and I'll never forget it, and I'll never forget all the fans for supporting me.
What, if you had to point to all the assets that a wrestler has, what is your main strength, and what is the thing that led you to accomplish what you accomplished so quickly?
Well, there's a lot of things, but you know, a lot of the wrestling fans in the area think strength is the number one thing in wrestling, and that's a fallacy. The most important thing in professional wrestling is your desire. That's any sport. If you don't have the desire and the will to win, you're going to get beat. Knowledge is very, very important. Conditioning. If you don't have the conditioning, you can have all the will and the knowledge, but you're going to tire out in the third period, or after 15 minutes, or after 20 minutes, or maybe after a half hour or 45 minutes. Speed. Coaching is very important. In the younger, I had very good coaching that helped me. I'd say strength was probably 8th on the list as far as for me. Some other people depend on their strength more than I do.
I was a little surprised to hear that you live in a place, Hartford, Connecticut. You have a wife and a little child.
Well, Minnesota is still the permanent home, but because of most of my wrestling being out in the East, I bought a home in Hartford, Connecticut. Otherwise, I'd be on an airplane too much. I'd be having a lot of jet lag going back and forth. And when my family's in Hartford, Connecticut, I can see them a lot more than if they were in Minnesota. So that was the biggest reason why I moved them out here.
Tell me a little bit about the life that you lead as a professional wrestler, the amount of matches per week, the amount of travel, and maybe the amount of extra work that has to go into it.
Well, there's a lot of traveling. 1 week, I put on 20,000 miles in an airplane. I have to train about 3 hours a day. I have to study people, my opponents, study the films. A lot of the fans think that it's just maybe that half hour, that 15 minutes that we spend on professional wrestling, but it's just about a 8-9 hour a day job, so to say, getting ready for your actual competition. And we don't have 6-8 coaches telling us what to do, or we don't have a coach behind us saying, hey, if you don't get your weight down to 230, you're going to get a fine, or you're going to get cut from the team. So it all has to be done on your own. There's nobody behind you pushing you. So it has to be a lot of drive on your own part as a professional wrestler. I
was a little surprised to see 3 hours, 3.5 hours before the matches begin at a place like the Spectrum. There you are, already in your tights, and you're running around the building, or you're lying on the table doing push-ups or whatever. Is that just to limber up, or is that part of your daily routine?
Well, I always do that before I wrestle. It gets my body warmed up good, and you know, when you're warmed up, that's good for any professional or amateur athlete to remember, and especially the young kids out there to get warmed up properly for all their events. I just got done running 2 miles, and after I get done here, I'm going to go up and do 500 leg raisers. That's part of my warming up for the match.
I'm a little amazed, too. Not only amazed, I'm kind of shocked, in fact, at the almost idolatry that wrestling fans have for their wrestlers, the worship. It's got to be a little frightening at times.
Well, the wrestling fan supports their favorite wrestler more than any other fan of any other sport. Like, say you have a hockey game here at the Spectrum, and you maybe monogram the amount of noise they make, and then you monogram the amount of noise that a hockey or a basketball or anything that's here, and then take a crowd at the same number of people for wrestling, and it would bury them. It would absolutely bury them. And the fans are important to me. You know, I don't know if you've been an athlete, but if you have, you always did better at home, and you always felt like playing better when maybe your your neighbors were there, and your parents were there, and the hometown was there. And it's for me right now, every place I go, it seems like I feel at home. And it's all those fans out there that make me feel that way.
Where do you think you go from here as a professional wrestler? What time span is there for a championship? When does a wrestler peak and start to go downhill?
Well, it's all a matter of staying in condition. You can do it for a long, long time, but the older you get, the harder it is to stay in condition. You got to do more and more and more, and if you don't get any injuries, knee injuries, back injuries, I hope to be doing it for a while, and I hope to keep the title for a while.
And here comes Bob Backlund, who is one. Oh, yes, sir. And here he is. Bob Backlund going right after him. Good, Valiant. Look out. Bob Backlund is ready to go. Wow, is he ever? Oh, Backlund just nailed it. When you walk out of the runway and start to walk up into the ring, the whole place goes absolutely bananas. That's got to be some kind of special feeling.
Well, it is a great, great feeling, and it makes me feel about 9 feet tall when all the fans treat me like that. And I respect them a lot, and they respect me, and it's a mutual thing. They appreciate me, and I appreciate them 100%.
Fans, you think I'm big at 6'5" and 225 pounds. This is big. The incredible Hulk Hogan with us as intermission guest tonight on PRISM, who will be wrestling the champion, Bob Backlund, a little bit later on. Right now, Hulk, a guy your size has got to have special problems. You fly a lot out of necessity from one wrestling engagement to the other. But what special problems do you have? Seating arrangements?
Let me tell you something, Mr. TV announcer. There is no special problem. Right now, I want to get off that subject completely. I want to talk about what's happening in here right now. Looking around the spectrum, all the seats are empty. But still, Mr. Hulk Hogan is standing here in the excitement amongst everyone here, the men setting up the chairs, everybody that sets up the ring. They cannot wait for me to get sleazy with a Bob Backlund, the little red-haired punk in the center of the ring. And this is the night of all nights. It was destined to happen. It came from the stars. Hulk Hogan is the new king of the 1980s. And let me tell you something. Everybody out there is going to witness what is going to happen. I am the uncrowned champion right now of the WWF. I've beaten all the talent around here. And finally, Mr. Bob Backlund, tonight, the 24-inch python, when I clamp it around your waist, Bobby Backlund, I will be wearing the gold, the strap. My future, it's all written in the stars. Hulk Hogan is the new king, the new legend, Mr. Everything of 1980. What do you have to say about that?
As I was saying, when you travel, you must have special problems. You're 6'8", about 305 pounds. And so what's your problem? A guy this big, do you sleep anywhere you want?
Let me tell you something. The only kind of problems I have, you're talking about on the road or all the arenas, all the beautiful women that see me, the only problem I have is getting service. When I walk into a restaurant, everybody wants to look at me. They want my autograph. I'm coming in to eat. I want to be left alone. I have no private life at all. Those are the problems I encounter every day. All these little compact cars running around the roads. I want the biggest. I want the best because I am the best. And those are the only type of problems I have. Just harassment from these goofy people that come to these arenas every night.
Well, you might say that they help pay your way, the airplanes, your lifestyle. They'll help put food in your stomach. How do you respond to that?
Well, let me tell you something. I'm the spark. I am the spark that makes everybody going. I feed myself. I pay my own way. And these people that come here to see me every night, they're getting off on me. Every minute they see me in the ring, they say, I will live till the next month. I will live till the next opponent is crushed by Mr. Hulk Hogan. They live to see me every day. I am the guiding light. I am the spark that goes on and on and on. I bring these people to the arenas, and I sell out everywhere. Tonight, I want everybody to know, be ready. I will beat Bob Backlund. I will beat Bob Backlund within an inch of his life. I will leave him laying in the center of the ring. And Bobby Backlund, I hope you're ready because you're going to get the beating of your life.
Okay, you said you're going to pulverize, you're going to beat him. Now, what's your approach going to be?
My approach to Bob Backlund is very simple. I'm a better wrestler. I can outpower the man at any time. The man is so scared, they told me he's hiding right now in the dressing rooms. He's sweating. He's already lost 10 pounds. He hasn't even got dressed yet. Bobby Backlund, I'm coming straight at you head on head. And I hope you're ready because you haven't met your maker yet and you're about to meet him.
Well, there's perhaps the 9th or 10th or 11th wonder of the world, Hulk Hogan. The Incredible Hulk, who goes against Bob Backlund for the championship belt here following our intermission tonight. And you heard the words of the challenger. We'll find out what happens before long. That's all from Dick Graham at ringside.
Arms are bigger than your head.
Well, thank you very much.
This is Cal Rudman interviewing the Golden Boy, manager Arnold Skaaland. How many world champions have you managed, Arnold?
Cal, I've had two. I've had Bruno Sammartino for 14 years, and now with Bob for the last 2.5 years, and I really feel honored to be with two great fellows like that.
They are marvelous guys. How do you feel about the match tonight?
I thought it was terrific. I thought Bob sat back and he watched for his chances. Last time he wrestled him, he rushed him a little too much. But this time he sat back and he watched him and took the opportunity when he had it.
Were you a little concerned when he got into that bear hug again?
Well, I'm always concerned because that Hogan is no pushover, you know, and he's a big, strong boy. And once you get in that bear hug, that is tough. And I know he felt it, but I had confidence he'd get out of it.
What does it feel like to be in a bear hug? We always say it, and no one's ever described the intensity of it.
You know, people sit back and they look at that bear hug and they say, well, you know, they figure they could be in it and it's not that bad. But you have to be in that position to realize how it is, especially when you have a powerful man like Hogan.
What would you compare the amount of pain to? A dentist chair? What is it like?
Well, I'm afraid of a dentist. I'd rather be in a bear hug, to tell you the truth. It's really excruciating, you know. It's really, when they squeeze, it hurts. You just imagine being in a vice.
Yeah, where do you feel it the most?
All over your ribs. The ribs is the best.
You lose the air completely.
That's it. You got to fight to keep that air in there.
What does it take to come out of it? What kind of strength?
Well, either you give up or you find a way getting out. There's several different ways of getting out.
It is a submission hold.
Yeah.
Arnold, you were a world champion also.
Yes, that was many years ago, but I wrestled 5 different world champions. I've been wrestling over 38 years. I find it a lot easier in managing, but I wrestled Jimmy Londas, Strangler Lewis, and then the late Buddy Rogers, and quite a few champions.
We don't hear too much talked about the older wrestlers. Could you tell us something about the Deuce X, who were legends in Philadelphia, the old arena?
They sure were tough fellas. We had the Deuce X, the Garibaldis, Ray Steele, Londas, as I told you before. A lot of tough boys in them days. They were real tough and strong men. A lot of intestinal fortitude these fellas had.
How much lighter were they in those days than they are today?
Well, they're not as big as the boys they have today, but I do have to say, being in with 5 different world champions, being around for 38 years in the ring, that I've noticed lately that these boys are bigger, stronger, more fast than anything. I'm glad I was in the older times, but because these guys today are big. Besides being big, they're fast. I think it's the nutrition and the way they've been growing up, and they have more finesse to the game. They had college, and 4 years of college, 4 years of high school, and when they start in, they have that pretty well knowledge behind them.
They start a lot younger than they did.
I believe they do, because through school in the old days when it was tough, we didn't have to couldn't go to college. Most of the guys had to go out and work and everything and do it the hard way in YMCA and bust heads in the alleyways and stuff, and it's tough.
What is the difference in the money earned by wrestlers today than, say, the wrestlers during the mid-40s? And
well, there's no comparison. Today they make fabulous money compared to back in those days. And today, with the TV, and we never had TV, you know, when we started, and with the TV and the big arenas they have today, they didn't have those in those days.
How do you train and prepare a wrestler for the matches today? And how would you compare that with the training methods years ago?
Well, years ago it was tough training and hard and everything, but like today when I have Sammartino and Bob Backlund, I will take Backlund out and I will work out with a run with him and get in the gym with him. But I'll scout out his opponents. I'll go before he even wrestles any opponent, say like Hogan. I'd watch Hogan maybe a dozen times wrestling different people. And then I would take Bob into the gym and I'd tell him what he actually does and what he has to look out for. And then we set up maneuvers and plans how to go about it. And then I'll sit and watch him. And when I don't think that something is going right, I tell him to go to the second plan we had staged.
What do you think is the potential of Hogan? He's only 25, 26 years old.
He's a young boy and he's big and strong. And he's got a long way to go in this business.
Just one last question. I understand you were a member of Carlson's Raiders in the invasion of Guadalcanal.
That
you
I
went into
was.
the first wave. Want to
That's
tell us
right.
a little bit about it?
That was tough, Cal. It was really rough, and I'm glad I made it back.
What was Carlson's Raiders?
That was a Raider company during the Second World War. We were the
training for that.
special training as Raiders. Yeah, it wasn't you had a volunteer. It was strictly all volunteer to go in there.
Well, you've been leading a tough life for a long time.
Sure
And
have.
you're a beautiful man. Everybody loves
Thank you, Cal. It's nice
My
talking
pleasure.
to you, and I hope to see you again.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's intermission time here at the Spectrum, fans, and you think I'm tall at 6'5". This is tall. 7 feet 4 and 380 pounds of the very favorite.
480
Huh?
pounds.
Did I say 200? 480 pounds of, who's going to quarrel with him? Andre the Giant, who's returning to Philadelphia on the Spectrum after about 3 or 4 months that I recall. He was in a Mammoth tag team event some while back, and now he's just returned from Australia and New Zealand, where he's wrestled in Japan also. Andre the Giant, glad to welcome you back to the Spectrum again. You're going against Hulk Hogan tonight.
Yeah, and I want to say one thing first. I'm very happy to come back here. It's very nice to be back in Philadelphia, and tonight that'd be for the first time in my life, I'm going to have a tough match, and I know that.
Well, this guy, excuse me.
Go ahead.
No, I'll excuse myself to you.
Because that guy, he never lost a match, but I never lost a match either. But I have to say one thing, I've been wrestling for 15 years and I never lost a match. That guy is in the wrestling just for us, I think, 3 or 4 years. I know he gets some good matches. He beat lots of guys. And he never wrestling against a big guy before. So I know I got an advantage in my way, because I wrestled a big guy before. When I first come in USA, for me it was the first time I wrestled against some big guys like Killer Kowalski, Don Leo, Jonathan, Ernie Ladd. And that time they gave me a real tough time. But I still beat him, and now this guy is the biggest, after me, he's the biggest guy in the wrestling.
Well, I interviewed him a few months back, Andre, and he's about, let's see, you're about 180 pounds heavier than he is. He weighs in around 300 pounds, so you're going to have your work cut out for you. But on the other hand, I think he's going to have his work cut out, because I don't know, has anybody ever lifted you and body slammed you?
No. And I know you're going to try to do it. But just like I said before, that guy has everything to win, because if he beat me tonight, he's going to be the first one who defeat the Giant.
All right. Now, we just said earlier when we came on that you returned from a very successful wrestling tour of Japan, from New Zealand, and also Australia. How do you like the Japanese wrestlers? How do you feel they match up against perhaps yourself and also the wrestlers whom you wrestle?
Oh, they're a good wrestler. You know, it's not the first time I go in Japan. I wrestle against Inoki, Sakaguchi, and they're a really good one. But Sakaguchi used to be in the Japanese champion in judo. He was in the Olympics and all that. It was really good. And of course, Antonio Inoki. They are really good wrestlers too, but they don't give you that hard time like I go to have tonight.
Well, let me ask you this. These guys weigh pretty much, what, 280, maybe 260, 270. But how do they match up as far as style goes? Do you have a tough time handling them, do you?
Who, those Japanese guys?
Yeah.
No, that's okay, you know. Because those guys, they are good wrestlers, but they know the way I'm wrestling too. So when I get on the ring, they know I go to beat them anytime I want.
Well, without trying to divulge, if you know at all, a secret as to how a guy might beat you, would it be to get you on the, you know, everybody has trouble. Whoever's wrestled you ever has always had trouble getting you down, if they ever have. Is that the secret to beating Andre the Giant?
But first they have to put me down.
All right, we were talking before we went on about how a guy this size, 7 feet, more than 7 feet tall, and of course 380 pounds, 480, I keep 380. I've got 380 on the brain, but he's close to 500 pounds. And he said, how do you do when you travel? He said, I just go first class, and it's very comfortable for me. And he apparently has enough leg room. What's an average day? What do you like to eat, or what's your kind of a diet every day?
I don't have any diet. I love to eat. You know, I'm French, and I love to eat. I love to eat good food. But I don't eat too much in one time, because I like to enjoy my food. I don't want to be full. So I eat sometimes 4 or 5 times a day.
Well, how would you start off the day eating?
But I just eat a good breakfast, you know, 16 eggs and all the bacon. And I eat some steak in the morning too, because I love steak.
How much do you work out during the day or during the week? How often do you work out?
Well, I don't work at that much because I'm wrestling almost every night. See, and sometimes I get trouble to go in the gym because when I go in the gym, everybody's after me, and I don't enjoy to be in the gym, you know. So that's why, just like before I got here, I was in the dressing room, and we work out in the dressing room.
Do you have much trouble going from one city to another, adjusting from one restaurant to another?
No, because I'm traveling like this for the last 15 years, and I still love it.
Doesn't bother you now?
Not at all.
Our pleasure to have as our guest tonight, obviously a very popular young guy, young because even though he's been around 15 years, he's young enough to still take the knocks and bangs and all the roughness of wrestling. He travels a lot, as he said. I said, where are you going after you leave here? He says, I don't know. He said, I go wherever the wrestling takes me. So the guy just wrestles anybody and everybody to keep himself interested in wrestling. So we've been talking to Andre the Giant tonight. After the intermission period tonight, he goes up against the incredible Hulk Hogan. He says he's going to take him. We'll find out before very long whether or not he does or not. So this is all from Dick Graham at ringside of the Spectrum, and our great guy tonight, the adversary of Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant.
From Willingboro, New Jersey, everybody's friend, everybody loves him, of course, Gorilla Monsoon. And we're ringside at intermission because we'll be watching our screen here while you watch at home, fans, because we'll be looking at some film clips and some of the highlights of your career as you bow out so very gracefully from the wars here of wrestling. And we'll be checking out about 7 of these. Say again?
You put that very nicely.
Well, the guy, we talked earlier back by the dressing room, Gorilla Monsoon, and you said, look, I've had it only as much as I'd like to continue because this has been my life, but this time is time to get out. You got to spend more time with the family now, less travel, I assume.
It's 100% my own personal agreement to do this.
I understand.
It was my understanding that this would be it for me, and I made that decision. No one else made it for me. There's quite a few factors that entered into me making that decision, which I'll disclose to you as we go along.
Okay, fine. All right. Let's take a look at the screens now, wherever you are, fans. We'll check our monitor here in the Spectrum because we're going to see about 7 film clips. There we go. And this against Nikolai Volkoff, September 77. Any comments on this?
Well, this was a relatively short match, if I remember correctly, Dick. Nikolai had a great advantage here. He got the upper hand on me. He attacked me before the bell rang and actually had me going, but he made one mistake. And
here he
that's
comes.
all
Look at
it
him.
takes is a simple mistake. And
man, to see all your weight coming to me, I think I'd go right through the floor.
There's not too many guys around, even guys the likes of Nikolai Volkoff, who can get up after one of those kind of splashes, I guarantee
Here's
you.
Stan the Man, your old
Stan
adversary.
Stasiak, a former world champion, back in December 1977. Once again,
you didn't have your jacket off
attacked
here.
me before the match even began. Still had my ring jacket on. Stan Stasiak, ring veteran. A hard punch, something to have to contend with. He hit me with a
you doubled him up there. All right.
Turned the tables on him quick. And,
the old chop look.
This was another match that didn't last too very long.
Those right hands must have been terrible.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm not too sure.
The man is just unreal what he can do.
Here, I'm not too sure who we have here.
This is a Moose Monroe.
This Monroe? Okay.
This was, I believe, a 9-second match.
Yeah. Oh, that was that quickie. Here,
Now,
the
it's
all-time
a good
record.
thing
They don't pay by the hour.
Yeah.
I'll be in a lot of trouble.
Is that the all-time record, 9 seconds?
No, I think.
All right. Here's October 77. I think this is Jerry Valiant. Look at that.
Right, Jerry Valiant. Another
79? Okay, I missed it.
I think I have the record, but it comes from Madison Square Garden. It was 7 seconds. Have the record for the shortest and the longest. This is here's Butcher Paul Vachon. Oh, this is Moose Monroe.
Right.
Right.
You gave a karate chop, and here you come all. I'll tell you, man, you look like you're going to do a belly flop in the water on top of that guy. Look
I don't know whether I showered that night or not. I probably did.
And here's Swede Hansen. You got him in a bear hug.
Victim of the bear hug.
Boy, I tell you, you're not going to.
He was in a hurry to get the match going, and the match got over in a hurry.
This was this past January 1980.
That's correct.
Not too many people beat the Swede, do they?
No, the Swede's a tough customer. And rightfully so, because he's been around a long time, Cal, and those are the guys that are tough to beat. The guys that have the ability and are good and have that experience, which is so damn important.
Well, there's Lou Super indicating you're the champ. There, you're the winner. And there, August 1980 against Ken Patera.
We were here.
Yeah, it was.
That was a battle royal.
He had a foreign object, didn't he?
Well, he had something. I couldn't see what it was, but I was told by fans at ringside that he went into his tights.
There it is.
I'm surprised you saw anything with all the blood coming down your
Well,
face.
I didn't see anything.
I know.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I had no idea what
the
he
object.
had.
There it is.
And boy, he literally put the lights out for me.
Yeah. And you just
put the lights out for me.
That isn't
Look
fair.
at the blood. Look at.
Well,
That isn't fair, Gino.
I agree with you 100%. And until such time as the powers that be, the state athletic commissions, of whom we're under their auspices, decide to hit these guys in the pocketbook where it's going to hurt them the most. Because that's the name of the game. We're all out here for one reason. That's to make money. And when you hit these guys in the pocketbook, that's when they feel it the most.
Well, you saw this if you're watching the last match between Backlund and Zbyszko. Now, he reached into his tights. You know, he's crying about the bad knee and all that, and he reached into the tights for the
That wasn't a surprise to me, Dick, because Zbyszko will do anything. Patera will do anything to gain a victory. They've been told. Not so much Zbyszko because he really doesn't listen to anybody, but guys like Albano and Blasky and the Wizard, they tell their guys, you win that match any way you
But you know, the crazy thing about it, look, let's face it, whether you like him or not, time and time again I've said this, Zbyszko is a good wrestler. Patera's a good wrestler. Why they need the extra help, I don't know. Is it insecure? What is this?
Well, I don't know what it is. Either it could be a number of things. One, they have not prepared themselves properly for their opponent, or they think that there's a chance that they don't have the ability necessary to beat their opponent.
Well, Cal and I were talking earlier tonight when the Zbyszko Backlund thing was on. Oh, the song and dance that Zbyszko gave both Backlund and Savoli about the bad knee. Hey, what? Don't sign for the match if you can't hack it.
Of course.
What is this?
Would you say that maybe as a result of this interview now, that maybe the State Athletic Commission will do something about these foreign objects? I mean, there was graphic proof of you being knocked cold, the lights out, a foreign object. They used the television in the Phillies game with Houston today.
Right.
Why can't they replay it and file a protest? Why couldn't you have filed a protest based on this?
Well, I didn't have to, Cal. The films were reviewed by the State Athletic Commission. Patera was fined in the neighborhood of $1,500.
But nobody knew about it. There was no publicity.
No, it's not common knowledge. I think it should be made.
Well, then you're revealing it now, so this is the truth.
Yes, that's true. But I also think that.
But you got hurt. That isn't right. You got bloodied.
Sure, but that's an occupational hazard, Cal, and we all assume that responsibility when we step through those ring ropes.
Yeah, but not with a foreign object.
No,
I mean, there's
agree
enough
with you
hazard
100%.
in the normal course of wrestling, but a foreign object, this is terrible.
Lord only knows that over the 21 years of my career,
21
I've
years.
used everything from a ring post to a rocking chair to anything I could get my hands on. When you lose your cool out there, I don't care who you are, whether you're Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino, Gorilla Monsoon, or Ken Patera, or anybody. If you lose control out there, then you're going to do whatever comes natural.
Go ahead. I was going to say, at this point in time now, you've come out with a lot of aches and pains. I know you've talked numerous times about the broken ribs and all the abrasions and all kinds of, just aches and pains you've derived from wrestling. Is your wife, how about, she must feel like a sigh of relief over this, huh?
Well, I'm sure she does, plus the fact that I'm going to have a lot more opportunity to spend time at home with my family.
How old are your children, Gino?
I have a daughter, Sharon will be 21 in January, Joey will be 18 in February, and Valerie will be 15 in March. And it'll give me a chance to spend more time with my family, although I tried to over the years. Even when I was on a heavy schedule, on the road all the time, I always tried to figure out when the kids were home from school so that I could adjust my schedule accordingly to try to be off when they were off. But it's tough. I think if someone were to compile some statistics about professional athletes and their married lives, I'm sure the divorce rate would be staggering.
Well, among wrestlers, we know it's almost 100%. Now, you're going to remain in professional wrestling, and you're going to let us know down the line just exactly what your function is.
Oh, yeah. I will never leave the realm of professional wrestling. This has been my life. I've left that squared circle. That's what I've left. I figure that there are days now where injuries that I received 10 years ago are really bothering me. So what's going to happen to me 10 years from now with the injuries I received 5 years ago? You know, I don't want to become maimed. I don't want to become a cripple. I think I'm at a point in time where I've made the right decision. I hope I've made the right decision. I don't know how much I'm going to miss being in there because I really haven't been away that long yet.
No, you have a tremendous academic background, and you've been a school teacher, and you know a lot of it about medicine, and you know what the doctors say. There's no question that arthritis sets in, and I've been with some doctors, Shelley Solomon over there in South Jersey, the arthritis specialist, and Mike Bloom, and we were there at Blackwood, New Jersey, and there's no question that the damage has already been done to your body.
Oh,
and
sure.
if you take any more injuries, your family is going to pay for it as well as you down the line. And you are wise to quit, You're a very bright man.
I thank you very much. And I also felt that the past few months, I really wasn't enjoying having to climb through those ring ropes. It became a task for me to do that instead of an enjoyment for me to do that. And wrestling has always been a great enjoyment for me. And you must love this business in order to survive in it because it is so demanding. And if you climb through those ropes with any other attitude than the one that I just expressed, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Well, Joe DiMaggio said that when he retired with the heel spurs and so on. It stopped being fun, and that's when you have to leave.
Right.
Getting into your career in the future, as an objective, clinically dispassionate observer, you certainly have a very special function in certain matches as a referee, where only someone of your size and your experience, there are certain matches where only Gorilla Monsoon can be the referee for the match to come off for the fans.
Well, I would only do that on specific occasions if a promoter such as Phil Zacco, Vince McMahon came to me and said, or any of the state athletic commissions came to me and said, we would like for you to be a guest referee in this particular bout because we feel that we need this type of referee in there. Then I would consent to doing something like that. I would not go out and seek that kind of work.
Well, I think it'll seek you. As it has
unfortunately, I think you're very right.
Yeah, and you're certainly involved in the business end of the
I do a lot of public relations work. I've tried my damnedest over the past 10 years to give professional wrestling some of the credibility that it desperately needs. I tremendously enjoy writing my column for the Philadelphia Journal, and I think that has opened a lot of doors and brought a lot of insight and made the fan aware of what professional wrestling is really all about.
Yes.
Well, that's what we're trying to do.
Well, that's growing more and more all the time, and with cable spreading its fingers all over the country, more and more people are really going to get on the wrestling as we see it and understand it and love it. And I think it's just going to increase the fan awareness.
It's the greatest entertainment dollar value that there is. Certainly the number of matches and the excitement and the action.
And what a hotbed of fan loyalty here.
Well, look at the crowd tonight. This place is packed on the Philly side.
I think that our greatest attribute is that never do the people ever leave an arena, whether it be the Spectrum, the Garden, Baltimore Civic Arena, Capitol Center, wherever, dissatisfied, feeling that they got ripped off.
They get their money's worth here.
We never have that feeling. I've never had a fan come to me and say, hey, you guys ripped us off tonight. We didn't get our money's worth. I've never, in 21 years of wrestling, had any wrestling fan ever approach me and say that to me. And I'm sure that I speak for the wrestling world in general.
No doubt. When you guys come ready, you're always ready to battle. And that's what I love about wrestling. It's unpredictable. And the wrestlers are so colorful. There's a little bit of something for everybody. But you guys always come ready to wrestle. I think that's dynamite. And I never get a bad performance.
And you give up the body. You really you give up the body. I mean, if you've seen Pat Patterson in a steel cage match with the acrobatics and what that man is capable of as an athlete, I mean, that alone, a match like that alone is worth the price of admission. And Madison Square Garden sells out. I'm there once a month with this man. 22,000 people, and there's scalpers out in the street begging for tickets.
Sure. No, I think all of these things combined make it what it is today, and I can only see it growing for the future. I can't see any recession whatsoever.
Yeah, well, look at Harrisburg. Look at Phil Zacco shows in Harrisburg.
Sure.
My goodness, he's been selling out there for 6 years. And I understand those matches are great. I've never seen them.
Well, he's got a great formula. He comes in with top-rate talent, the kind of talent you would have to go to the Spectrum or to the Garden to see. And Harry's bringing it direct right into the mosque in Harrisburg for you. So you're close to home. and he gives you your money's worth.
Right.
So that's why he has a successful operation.
And the fans are loyal. You give them their money's worth, they support you.
No
Great
question
time.
about that.
As the fans in Philadelphia, yeah.
Phil Zacco has to be one of the greatest promoters in professional wrestling today. He and Vince McMahon have done more for professional wrestling over the past 25 years than anybody's done in the last 100 years.
Yes.
Well, you give the fans, Cal and Gorilla, you give the fans quality sporting activities, and they respond. They always respond.
Certainly in Philadelphia.
They're great fans here.
Well, I think they're entitled to that, Jay. And anything less than that would be cheating the fans. And that's the last thing we want to do. If we have, for example, a guy who's scheduled to wrestle here tonight who is injured and can't wrestle, what promoter Phil Zacco will do is, number one, he'll make an announcement that is the fact, and number two, he'll replace them with someone as good or better than the original match. So anybody that takes that type of attitude towards the business certainly is going to be successful.
As it should be. Well, fans, you've been watching one of the wrestling greats tonight. He's going to be on the scene. You'll be still hearing more about Gorilla Monsoon. We thank you very much for taking time tonight. We're just more than delighted that this was your night solely, but we saw a lot of great wrestling action so far. You were paid a tribute earlier in the ring, and now with us, and we're just delighted you were able to spend some time with us expressing the man, not just the wrestler, but the man.
Dick, it's my pleasure, and believe me, if I can ever come out and be of some assistance to you, don't hesitate to ask me.
Well, you do a lot.
Sounds typical.
You do a lot.
All right, well, fans, we're going to be back with more wrestling action shortly. Of course, remember, we've got another bit of action in the tag team match coming along very shortly, but this is our intermission time. Let's go to more film, and we'll be back very shortly.
This is Cal Rudman, and it's my distinct pleasure to interview Hulk Hogan and get behind the man and behind the image. Very good, Hulk. Why aren't you champion?
What do you mean, why am I champion? I'm champion all over the world. I'm champion from North America to South America. I'm champion from the ghetto to the Empire State Building. The reason I'm not champion is because this skinny little red-haired, freckle-faced geek, Bob Backlund, doesn't have the guts. Not for the first time I beat him here in the Spectrum, not for the second time I beat him, but the third time Bobby Backlund, scared to death. Like a school kid, he's scared to put the title on the line. You know something? You look a lot like Bob Backlund. You're short, scrawny, and out of shape. That's the reason Backlund doesn't want anything else to do with me. Do you have any more stupid questions for the incredible Hulk Hogan?
Well, I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover. Are you a lover?
Let me tell you something. Loving, wrestling, weightlifting, loving, eating, and being Mr. Personality, they all go together as one. As far as loving goes, there are no women in the Philadelphia area, no women in New York City, no women in Jersey that could even bum a kiss off these lips. Let me tell you why. I import all my fine products, everything I want, wine, women, and song. I import it all. The finest I've got, I fly it in from Cocoa Beach on the weekends just to keep my anxiety down. I'm always high. I'm always on top of the world. I am number one. Whether it be on women, whether it be on wrestling, or whether it be on blasting about 750 pounds off my chest. Yes, I am a lover.
So why aren't you in the movies?
You know something? I'm really glad you asked another ignorant question. Last week, I just flew out to L.A. Any of you who do not believe this, Hulk Hogan never tells a lie. Hey, you tell that goofy cameraman to keep his comments to himself, all right? Hulk Hogan never tells a lie. I just came from L.A. Me and Mr. Sly Stallone sitting down talking business, talking money, talking future films, and talking Rocky III. Hulk Hogan, you will see him in Rocky III, so just keep your eyes open. I will make many more movies after that. Also, a nationally syndicated magazine, which I cannot name at this present time, has asked me to do a complete centerfold, a complete layout of the luscious body from the beautiful top of my head to the end of the tippy toe. I'm going to show them all, brother. I'm going to show it all to them, and many more movies after that.
Well, I'm really impressed by that. What is the part you're going to play in Rocky III?
That is none of your business as of this point in time. That is between me and my cooperates. I will never tell you anything I don't want you to know. You just remember to go pay your $6 or $7. Just like this arena's paying $6 and $7. Maybe I'm not in the main event tonight, but the only reason this place is going to be packed is because of me, the one, the only, the undefeated Hulk Hogan, 24-inch biceps. That's what they're coming to see. They're coming to see the body. They're coming to see the real #1 wrestling in the wrestling world. And they're going to come see Rocky III, not because of the part I'm playing. They're coming just to see me alive and in color.
Well, I think you've used up about all the time we can have and all the cameras.
And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't spend any more time with you either.
All right, now we heard the opinion from the Peanut Gallery, a man demeaning the Philadelphia women. He's obviously never been on Chestnut Street. So since we've heard from the Peanut Gallery, now let's get an opposing opinion from the Breakfast of Champions.
Well, you just saw the interview Cal Rudman had with, now that he's gone, Hulk Hogan, you know. I mean, was that an interview or an interview, Cal? Gee, he ate you alive. I mean, you asked some very serious questions about Bob Backlund and all these other great wrestlers, and this guy, all he talked about was himself. Well, we've got the man himself here, and I'm just checking Bob Backlund. I checked your records just before we come on the interview tonight, and lo and behold, February 20th, 1978 was the time, the date at Madison Square Garden. You won the title, the belt, away from Billy Graham.
Yes, that's the day in February right now. Since that day on is my favorite month, and I've been I really remember that night just like it was yesterday, and I'll never forget it. It was one of the proud moments that I ever had in any sports, amateur or professional, and it changed my whole life. And boy, I've been enjoying my life ever since that day.
Well, you know, Bob, nothing comes without some reason behind it, I feel. And the fact is, you've been a great champion. I would say this if you weren't here. I do say it to you because you wrestled everybody and anybody. I think you wrestled with a sort of an open contract. Anybody you thought was worthy of your attention, you wrestled him.
Well, I appreciate your comments on that. But yes, I do try to wrestle any comers, anybody that's on the #1 contention. I want to wrestle them. If they're capable of beating me, they should be the champion. So I want to get into the ring and find out whether they are better than I am.
Well, you're a deceptive guy. We just saw, really, seriously, Hulk Hogan a few minutes ago. He's just physically just a monmouth guy. But there's one thing that you've always said that I recall, I think in an interview I did with you a couple of years back, that skill will always outmatch strength. Do you still feel that way?
Yes, I do. It's skill and conditioning that lasts a lot longer than strength. You get into that ring, whether it be amateur wrestling on a mat or professional wrestling. If a guy's going to try to use strength, he's going to tire out. He's going to be balled up. He may do good for a minute or two, and then he's going to tire out, and you're going to get the best of him sooner or later.
Well, you know, fans, one night I was here at the Spectrum, as I usually am early, getting ready for appearing on PRISM TV. And I went ringside just to check things out. And I happened to look up to the upper reaches of the Spectrum, and I saw this figure. Of course, he was very small at that point. He was up the top rows. Bob Backlund, running up and down the steps, and he was had done jogging around the inside of the Spectrum, I don't know how many times. Another time, I recall a few months back, I went into a dressing room where just Bob was. He was working out, I think, 500 or 600 push-ups. He does sit-ups in the hundreds. Here's a guy you think just shows up for maybe you think this, I don't know. You think he just shows up for the wrestling matches wherever he appears here at the Spectrum. Wrong. You'd like to tell about your training habits, Bob?
Well, I train about 3.5 hours a day, and you know what you were saying is very true. A lot of the fans think that there isn't a lot of work put into professional wrestling. There's probably more work put into professional wrestling as an individual than any other athlete. You know, we don't have 6'8" coaches telling us to get our weight down or telling us to keep in shape. We got to do it all on our own, and it takes a special person to be able to go into the gym all by himself without anybody bossing him, telling him he's going to get fined $100 or $200 if his weight doesn't get down to a certain amount, or if he doesn't get in the gym and get stronger. It's all on an individual basis, and you can be in as good a shape as you want, or you can be as poor a shape as you want. Of course, the guys that are on the top of professional wrestling or any sport are the ones that work the hardest.
Well, you know, it takes more than just the training to meet your opponents. You travel a lot. Now, I know you said before our interview you were home last night in Hartford, I believe, where you have your homes. It's convenient for you. But you travel so much. 2 months ago in December, you were in Japan wrestling over there. Now, last month you came back here at the Spectrum. You were here at the Spectrum tonight, but you've been traveling all over. How do you manage the eating habits? How do you manage the sleeping? The travel, it's got to throw you off.
When you travel over to Japan, you lose a day. and it really messes up your sleeping schedule. You wake up about 4 in the afternoon, and it's 4 in the afternoon, and it's the wrong day, and it's the wrong time. And so it's hard to get adjusted, but I like to travel. I like to meet people all over the world, and I like to wrestle all over the world. Every day of my life is a pleasure. I don't get up in the morning and say, oh my gosh, I got to go to work today, I got to do this, I got to do that. What I do is what I want to do. I'm not one of those type of guys that live for the weekend. When I get up, I'm happy because I know I'm doing exactly what I want. I'm going to get up and go down to the gym and train. I'm going to do a little traveling. I'm going to meet some people. I'm going to get in that ring, and I'm going to wrestle and compete, which I love to do.
I think you communicate that, Bob, because I don't think there's a night that I've seen you in the past. I've been with PRISM TV for about 3 or 4 years now, and I don't think I've seen you wrestle at any time that you didn't come on the ring scene totally up and exuberant and glad to be there and ready.
Well, you got to be ready, especially when you're the champion, because your opponent's going to do his darndest to beat you. You know, a lot of times I'll get in the ring with a guy and I'll convince him that he's not going to be able to beat me in wrestling. He's going to have to, try to use some sneaky tactic, try to get away with something without the referee seeing it, and trying to use something against me to beat me. So I got to be ready 100%, whether it's going to be wrestling or whether the guy's going to try to kick me or bite me or whatever it is. I got to get in there and I got to be ready for it.
Well, Bob, I don't want to sit here faulting a lot of professional athletes, but we, I think, know of some, at least, put it that way, in various professional sports who don't really keep in good condition. What's your comment on that? Because I know you're totally into conditioning.
Well, I really enjoy conditioning, and I'm proud to be in condition. If I wasn't in condition, I wouldn't be in wrestling. I'd be a school teacher or a salesman or sell real estate. But I like being in condition, and I think any athlete should be in good condition. I hate to see a good athlete getting on a television or getting on an airplane and smoking a cigarette. Boy, that makes me hurt down, because I never want, you see a lot of young kids smoking a cigarette because there's a so-called athlete out there smoking, making a good example, and boy, that burns me up.
All right, one good question here, Bob, as a final question for you during our intermission interview tonight. What advice could you give to kids who want to get into wrestling? You come into wrestling from high school, then on to college, and you were a tremendous college athlete, and now, of course, in the professional ranks. What would you say to a young kid? Maybe I have a little guy, David, a 100-pound wrestler up in my area, Philadelphia, who won, by the way, pinned his guy in about a minute and a half. Very proud of him today. And anyway, what advice would you give to a young kid who wants to be a wrestler? Maybe like another Bob Backlund.
Well, he's got to start wrestling when he's real young. Start when he's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
How about the weights, Bob?
Not too much on the weights right away. You got to wait till your bones get developed and your joints get strong enough to be able to take the stress.
What age might we be talking about?
I'd say 15, 16. A kid can do a lot of push-ups and a lot of squats and a lot of sit-ups and things that he's going to get stronger in, flexibility movements when he's young, things that aren't going to hinder his development of his joints and stretch his ligaments out. But, start when you're young, wrestling, go to your coach, go to the YMCA, wrestle in high school, wrestle in college, and then possibly there's a chance to get into professional wrestling. By the way, I sponsor kids' wrestling tournaments. I have 2 of them. I sponsored one in New York, which was last week. There was 520 kids in the tournament. It was one of the biggest tournaments ever on Long Island. And now I've got one coming up next weekend in Connecticut. It's going to be, right now we got enough applications in to make it the biggest tournament ever in Connecticut.
Well, now you begin to see why he is the champion. He's great with people. He has taken a lot out of wrestling, but of course he's given a lot to it. And of course he gives a lot from his position as champion of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, Bob Backlund. Bob, thank you very much and continued good luck.
Well, it's my pleasure.
This is Cal Rudman for Spectrum Wrestling. Cal Rudman on the scene here with a lookalike in Delaware Valley, pretty boy Larry Sharp. As you've heard announced before all of his matches, he's from Paulsboro, New Jersey. And I am particularly proud of a lookalike making it in the World Wrestling Federation. Larry, you are a villain, and I know you outside of the ring as a pretty nice guy. Have you always been a villain, going back to your amateur days?
I would generally say that I wasn't liked as a wrestler from the very first day I started, including my amateur background.
That's back in 7th grade, too?
Right. Because, you know, I had one goal, to win a match. And if I had to be lazy to do it, if I had to be coy, if I had to lay back, if I had to wrestle on the edge, near the circle, on the end of the mat, I would do it and push the guy out of bounds. I would use any means to win. The only thing is the referees are a little bit tighter in amateur wrestling and a little bit more on top of you than they are once you make the pros.
Yeah. Now, you did start in 7th grade in Paulsboro.
Yeah, well, I actually started in Gibbstown in a grammar school, wrestled 2 years, a 2-year program there, 4 years at Paulsboro High School, Gloucester County, and Trenton State.
Now, did you want to be a professional wrestler from day one? Because most amateur wrestlers, that's all they ever intend to do.
Yeah, most amateur wrestlers come out to be, you know, veterinarians or doctors or whatever they're in college or high school for. I began amateur wrestling for the sole intent of getting a good, solid foundation and an amateur background to become a good professional. That is why I did it.
Did anybody inspire you?
Well, I had 2 inspirations. Buddy Rogers, who was also from South Jersey, was an inspiration as far as ability. I used to go and watch him. We're personal friends now, but at that time I was a wrestling fan, and a man named Red Berry was the one that offered the advice of being an amateur and getting a good, solid background if I wanted to be a pro, and that is exactly why I became an amateur wrestler.
You spent 10 years in the amateur.
I had 10 years amateur's experience, seasonal. You know, like wrestling is about a 6-month season, but it's a sport that you have to keep in condition for just about all year round. So I played some football before and did some track after to keep myself physically active, but I had a 10-year period where I did nothing but wrestle, doing wrestling, you know, like a 6 months out of every year.
Now, Paulsboro High School is famous for its wrestling team as opposed to many other schools in Delaware Valley.
Yeah, there's a lot of good wrestling schools in Delaware Valley, and there's a few good wrestling schools in North Jersey. But if you look at the record, you'll find that Paulsboro leads in every statistic that I've ever looked for amateur wrestling, as far as most consecutive wins, most dual meet wins. They probably have more state champions than anybody. They were ranked #1. They're probably the #1 team in the nation right now. Paulsboro, like we were talking earlier, has a naturally tough individual that lives in that area. Most wrestlers are well trained by the time they get to high school. Right now they have a wrestling program that starts when kids are 5 and 6 years old. By the time they get to high school, all they need is a coach to give them basics, you know, to babysit them, really, because they know their stuff when they get there. It's like a big family. The whole town is a wrestling family.
Now, South Jersey in general has a lot of tough guys. I mean, they have that reputation, and I know you've had your share of fights and bars in South Jersey. What makes the guys in South Jersey as tough as they are?
Well, I talk to a lot of people about this, and there are a lot of tough guys. That's what people tell me anyway. Of course, when you're a tough guy yourself, you don't think everybody else is that tough. Right. But I've had my share of scraps, and I've been in a few bars and places like that. Yeah. Pirelli's in, Paul for a bar right there, knock down, drag out.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, I wish we could talk. We could go on for another hour. There's just so many other questions. Perhaps we'll have another chance
I hope
sometimes.
so.
And I know you want to win real badly, and I'm real proud of you for coming right into the World Wrestling Federation, which is unusual instead of going out to the boondocks or down south.
Right. Usually they suggest that you go somewhere and get some experience, and I had enough confidence in myself, and they had enough confidence in me to start me here, and I started out successful. And
you won your first 7 bouts. You won your
my
first
very
7.
first 7 matches without a loss.
And your first tough match was Pat Patterson. He gave you a working over.
Pat Patterson and Bob Backlund were the 2 toughest matches that I've had to contend with so far.
Well, the crowd may not like you because you got a winning attitude and you got to have it in that ring, but you really are a good guy. And
that's self-esteem. That's when you're good and you know it. That's not bragging.
Well, you better believe you can win when you get in that wrestling ring.
Okay, thank you, Cal.
This is Cal Rudman for Spectrum Wrestling.
This is a first for yours truly, Dick Graham, here at the Spectrum, for we have not one of those grubby-looking guy wrestlers, but a very pretty lady wrestler. And, of course, if you follow wrestling at all, you know this lady next to me is a lady all the way. But she can change from being a lady to a roughneck in the ring because her name is Moolah, the great Moolah, and she's the ladies' champion of the world. And we're just delighted to have her with us today because we want to find out a little bit about her background. She's been wrestling for a while, and how did you really get started? I think it's something about your dad first took you to see wrestling a long time ago.
Dick, it's a long story, but I'm the only girl in a family of 13 children, and I have 12 brothers, all older than me. My mom died when I was 8 years old, and I was very close to my mom, being the only girl and the baby. So my dad tried to find something for me to do that would make me happy and pass time. So he started going to the wrestling matches, and I went with him. So I fell in love with wrestling, and he started buying seats by the year. And every Tuesday night we was at the wrestling match. And every time I went, I liked it more and more. So finally I saw the women wrestle, and I was about 10, 11 years old at that time. And I said, well, that's for me. When I get big and when I get old enough, I'm going to be a wrestler. So then I started taking amateur wrestling in school, and I was the only girl in school that was doing amateur wrestling. But I did okay because I had a lot of training at home with my 12 brothers. And anyway, so I graduated from school when I was 14 because when I started school, I was being pushed up because I was going to school every day with my brothers. And when I'd go and sit in school with them, well, I would learn along with them. So when I would take the test, I would pass, so my dad just let me go on up. I graduated in February when I was 14, in midterm. So then my younger brother was on a tour, boxing at that time, so he was going to Johannesburg, South Africa. So my dad gave me a graduation present and let me for a vacation to Johannesburg. So when I went there, I saw the wrestling promoter, a sports promoter. He promoted everything, boxing, wrestling, all sports, tennis, and everything. So his name was Tiger Simpson, and I spoke with him and begged him to please give me a chance of wrestling. At that time, and my heaviest weight was maybe 115. And I had a problem gaining weight and everything. So anyway, I wrestled some there in Johannesburg. I did okay, but I can say maybe out of a dozen fights, only 1, 2, or 3, because I was too light.
Well, you've done well since then because you are the champion, have been for a while. And, you know, the thing that occurs to me that interviewing a lot of the guys, all the Hulk Hogans and Bob Backlunds over a period of time, that the wrestling business is really a tough one in as much as you're traveling so much. It's bad enough for a man wrestling, but what about a lady? Women are generally family-oriented and so forth. How do you find traveling and the trying to keep a diet and your likes and dislikes as far as food's concerned, sleeping habits? That's kind of rough, isn't it?
Well, yes, but I love it, and I've been doing this since I was 15 professionally, so it really doesn't bother me anymore. I really look forward to it. I think it keeps me young, keeps me happy, and makes me moolah, and that's the main
You are
thing.
moolah. I don't have time for another question, but I want to point out this belt, and it's the championship belt that you have worn for quite a long time. And this is really what it's all about. Of course, Bob Backlund has his belt, and you are the champion. And there's I think it's a super idea having your picture right there in the middle of it. But that's what you wear around your waist when you wrestle, and I just think it's great. And I think you should be very proud of that
Thank
championship.
you. I am, and I won that in Baltimore, Maryland.
Well, you wear it wherever you go now. Baltimore is not the only place you've worn it.
Oh, no, all over the world.
I want to thank the great Moolah for being our intermission guest today from the Spectrum during our intermission, our wrestling program. It's great to talk to her. We're looking forward to seeing you again.
Thank you very much.
This is Cal Rudman for Spectrum Wrestling, here with one of my favorite wrestlers and one of my favorite people, too.
Well,
Pat
thank you very much.
My pleasure. Pat, going to get a few questions going to entertain our fans. Pat, you wrestle how many times a week?
Well, it's an average four nights a week. Sometimes, depending on what part of the country you go to, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 2, but 6 it's too much, it really is.
Now, when there's a tough boxing match, sometimes a guy has to take off 3, 4 months, sometimes 6 months. And I've seen you take some pretty bad beatings and give some pretty bad beatings. I mean, really rough. How are you able to do it that often a week when boxers don't?
You see, when you box only twice a year, now the punishment is really a hard punishment they take the boxer, and they take mostly the punishment on their head. Now, when I first started wrestling, for the first 3, 4 years, believe me, I could not wrestle 3, 4 nights a week. It was impossible. But after all these years being in the wrestling and traveling, my body is immune to the punishment, and I've got more experience. I know what I'm doing in the ring, so that makes it a lot easier also. But it's not easy, believe me. A lot of times we'll all go in the ring, and people don't realize that. You go in the ring sometime and your back is really out, or you got a bad ankle, or you got a bad neck, and you got to go out there. You're in the main event. You just can't say, I'm going to sit home because I got a bad neck today. You just got to go out there and do it.
Yeah, well, it's like one of the Flyers playing right now with a bad knee. Do you take a vacation during the year?
Yes, I do.
Oh, now, what happens if you take 2 weeks off? Can you come right back and wrestle? And feel
It's hard. It's hard because while you're taking a vacation, you got to keep on working out and train because if you stay away too long, everything changes. You got to really keep in shape.
Do wrestlers get what they call punch drunk, which is really due to pinpoint hemorrhages in the brain?
Some of them do. Some of them do. Depending, sometimes some of the guys, they get thrown out of the ring and they land right on their head, or they get over their head with a chair, or they get run into a steel pole. But you see, it's not like boxing. Boxing, the punishment is taken to the head only. In wrestling, it's all over the body.
Well, how about in taking a fall? How do you condition your body so you don't land in a heap?
Well, I'll tell you what. The very first time now, when I started professionally when I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
And I was...
How many years ago was that about you?
Well,
it's at least a generation, I know that. Okay, go ahead.
And the first time that a wrestler picked me up and gave me a body slam, I saw lights. I swear to God, I mean, everything went out. I thought I was knocked out.
Yes.
And today, a guy will give me a body slam. It'll hurt, but I can take the punishment a lot more today than I could in those days. And when I feel a guy throwing me, I kind of position myself as I'm flying through the air to where I'm going to land. You know, this comes with experience.
Yeah.
Like get thrown out of the ring, and the last second you catch the rope to break the fall, or sometimes you don't either. But then when I first started, one of the wrestlers threw me out of the ring. By the time I knew it, was on the cement floor and carried out in the stretcher.
Yeah, well, I want you to know that I'm just getting warmed up on this interview, but already the time is up.
Oh,
so
my God, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it, too. So can I take a rain check, Pat Patterson?
I would love to.
And we'll continue. Maybe we'll make this an ongoing series.
I'd love to.
Teach everybody everything they wanted to know and didn't want to know about wrestling.
Super.
So
Thank you
Pat
very
Patterson,
much.
right, Cal Rudman for Spectrum Wrestling.
I'll tell you, Cal, we just had that interview with a really emotional. I don't think I've ever seen Morales so emotionally upset, but he really was. Not only at Khan, he had, well, actually, after it was all over, you just heard him. He had disposed of Khan. Now, there's only one thing in his mind. He wants Valentine.
He wants Valentine. Valentine suplexed him on concrete, and
Yep.
he is hurting.
Yep, he is really hurting. Plus, he took a terrible beating tonight on his back, the hands of Khan, but he has only one goal now. He says when Backlund's finished with Valentine tonight, and that's coming up in a moment or two, the steel cage, he wants him. Morales wants him. I don't think he cares about the belt even. He just wants Valentine to do it to him.
Well, it'll happen. It'll happen real soon.
Well, talk about the steel cage. They're setting up the cage now. That's why there's a bit of a lull in the Spectrum. Let's go and see some, I think we'll hear and see some very interesting comments. Valentine, whom you talked with, and Backlund, whom I talked with earlier tonight, and they're getting ready for this. They're primed, and their dressing rooms are getting ready. So let's watch and hear their comments, fans.
Right, and we'll be back.
Well, do I have to really introduce this man? Bob Backlund, the current champion, Worldwide Wrestling Federation champion. He holds the belt, and he's fought everybody. He's wrestled everybody there is. And tonight, of course, will be a return against Greg Valentine, the Hammer. Some observations on last month here at the Spectrum. You lost the match, of course, not the belt, the championship. What are your observations about the Hammer?
Well, I don't respect this man at all. I don't respect any of the things that he's done in the past, and I don't respect the things that he did to me last time in the Spectrum. I wished all those people out there could be down here tonight to witness this steel cage match, because by golly, I'm going to beat this man. There's no way he's going to get away with the things that he's done to all the wrestlers in the area.
Well, Bob, we took time to look at some of the footage of the videotape of last month's action of you and Valentine, and you guys were both in the ring, out of the ring, around the ring, and you were bloodied almost from head to toe. And you guys really, it was a free-for-all. Of course, tonight, there's no place to hide, is there? You got the cage.
No, that's the reason for the cage. Valentine can't get out of the ring. I can't get out of the ring. Nobody can get inside. We're both going to be locked in there, and the only way you can win is get out of that cage outside the door or over the top of it, and the one who does that's going to be the WWF champion. And by golly, I'm going to promise all those people out there right now that I'm going to be defeating this man in a few short minutes.
Well, you've always delivered, Bob. You never have said anything you didn't back up. But let me ask you this, if it's possible. What kind of strategy might we want to know about for tonight? Do you have anything special you want to run by us?
Well, there's no real strategy tonight. It's just full steam right ahead. Go after this man and beat him as quick as possible, because you can have a lot of get a lot of punishment and get hurt in those steel cage matches. I don't want to be in there any longer than I have to.
Fine. Bob Backlund, the champion. Anything goes, and you'll see it again tonight in the steel cage in just a very short time. Okay, Cal, you saw the interview that I had with Bob Backlund, and he said nothing special. The steel cage is the steel cage. There's no place to hide, and he doesn't really have any special tactic for tonight, and we'll find out shortly just how he does approach it. Now, you had the dialogue with Valentine. We're going to check up on that in just a couple of minutes. We'd like to just observe that the steel cage is still being put together, as you can see. Here's our press box camera checking on it. They have about another, we'll have to finish this section here on the one side, and then all the side facing us. But as you can see, it's roughly about, I'd say about 7 feet tall off the canvas itself, off the mat. And we've seen time and time again, Sergeant Slaughter last year was it against Backlund when his face was just run by the various sides of the steel cage, and I'll tell you, he was just blood from head to toe. So it can be really very hairy and very dangerous for these guys to go into the steel match.
Yeah, I saw Patterson in a steel cage match once, and it was a sight to see.
Yeah.
The things that can be done in there are really amazing.
We'll come back to more of the steel cage match preparation in just a second. We'd like to give credit to some awfully nice people because they came here tonight from upper in the Trenton area. Our wrestling fan of the month for January is Jackie Leiden of Trenton. He's on the far right of the screen. There he is. There's a nice group of folks. He's shown with his fiancée, Marianne Serrato, and sister Barbara and boyfriend Mark. Our winner, Jackie, is a mailman. He's been a wrestling fan for about 5 years. He likes Bob Backlund and dislikes Larry Zbyszko. There's a name we haven't heard for a while.
Yeah, Larry hasn't wrestled for about a year.
It's been really nice people. We had a chance just to meet them very quickly before tonight's events back by the dressing rooms. But I'll tell you, they come all the way down from Trenton tonight in this kind of bad weather to see their heroes, and they're getting all they want. The wrestling fan of the month for February is Gina Maranzini of Winona, New Jersey. Now, Gina, you'll be receiving tickets for wrestling in February. Certainly, Cal, and yours truly, Dick Graham, extending our congratulations to Gina Maranzini from Winona, New Jersey. We'll be looking forward to meeting her. Okay, Cal, do you want to lead in your interview then?
Well, we have an interview with Greg Valentine, just preceding the steel cage match, and I hope you don't miss it, especially high school and college wrestlers. You want to hear what a guy that really knows what it's all about has got to say. He levels and he gets down. This is Cal Rudman, and I don't have to introduce the gentleman next to me. He is the Greg Valentine, and I want you to know that I respect you as a wrestler, and I respect you as a man. Let us refer back to the match last month, very controversial. Do you want to cover it in a couple of sentences?
Well, it's kind of hard to cover it in a couple of sentences. I've got to think back a minute. The main thing I remember was that I was victorious. I was the winner in that particular match, and Backlund was furious about it. He said that I was running away from him. All I was doing is using my strategy to keep away from him until my leg got better, and he was working on my leg to sort of counterattack what I was doing to his leg, because I was trying to put him in a figure-4 leg lock. And he got counted out of the ring, basically. I didn't pin him, but he got counted out of the ring. So he went to the athletic commission, the promoter, Phil Zackel, and screaming and crying that he wanted a cage match. And they presented me with a contract. I said, fine. You know, I don't like cage matches. And
Why don't you like them, Greg?
Well, because they're very dangerous. There's 2 matches that I can't stand in professional wrestling. That's a battle royal and a cage match, because they're 2 of the most dangerous matches that, like in a battle royal, for instance, you can't watch everybody. You got 20, 25 people in a battle royal, and you can't watch everybody. And then in a cage match, you've got that steel fence around you, and it can mar you. It can mar you very easily.
Obviously, what is your strategy going to be tonight with Bob Backlund?
Well, first of all, I'm not afraid of the cage match. I don't like it. But my strategy is I'm gonna try to stick to wrestling as much as I can, and if I can use the cage to an advantage, I will. But the basis of a cage match is to get your opponent down and out, so to speak, so you can climb over the top of that the cage, and the first one over the top out onto the floor is the winner. So there's no pinfalls. That doesn't count. I can put the figure 4 leg lock on him. That's what I'd like to do, and cripple him down enough to where he can't crawl over the top. If he's lame, if he's got one lame leg, he can't crawl over the top, and that's going to put me over the top.
Would you say that pure wrestling techniques, therefore, are going to work for you when you say concentrate on wrestling as opposed to slugging, brawling, smashing?
Yeah, well, see, that's basically what I am. I mean, a lot of people, you'll see a lot of wrestlers, I don't want to name anyone in particular, but ones that are just brawl, you never see them grab a hold or anything like that. I like to wrestle. If I throw a blow or anything like that, it's you know, it's with my open hand or my arm or my elbow, which is all legal in professional wrestling. Of course, it's not legal in amateur, but I can hit and blow body punches when I'm talking about it as many times as I want to, and I consider that wrestling, where other people wouldn't, like in amateur, for instance. But I like to stick to the holds because that's how I can hurt people. I'm not a boxer, and I don't want to get out there or a street fighter and get out there and just slug away, because I do more damage wrestling, because that's what I know. And that's going to be my main, like I say, if I can use that cage, if I can take that so-called champion Bob Backlund and use the cage advantage by smashing him into the cage, I'm going to do it, you know.
I want to
it's hard
throw
to say what
another question at you, because the match is going to end the way it's going to end, and we're all going to see it. A kid coming up like Adrian Adonis, that's been a pro for about 6 years and has won titles all over the place and wrestled as an amateur since he was 9. Do you feel that he's ready to get into the big time, be it with you, be it with Backlund, the way he claims? Or do kids like that come along all the time with a big mouth but can't back it up in a ring?
Well, I hate to talk about...
I'm not here to put him down. I just want your professional evaluation. I mean, he's talking, and I'd like to know your answer. You're at the top.
Okay, I see that he is a very good wrestler. I knew him when he started about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and I knew when he was first breaking in, and he had a very good teacher up in Canada, a very rough, tough wrestler up there. Fred Atkins taught him. So he knows the moves, and the thing is, I don't know what kind of shape he's in, because maybe just by looking at him, maybe he doesn't look like he's in great shape. But some people, that's very deceiving. You know, you look at somebody and might look a little bit flabby, and at the same time, he might be just a real terror in the ring. So I wouldn't know, but I think being overconfident would definitely be a hindrance.
Well, he's Italian, and he's nationalistic about New York. He says, I know wrestling like I know spaghetti. Do you think he knows wrestling at the level you know it? We'll make this brief and move on out.
Well, I know it because of my father, and I grew up and started wrestling when I was 9 years old.
And your father's first name?
Johnny Valentine. And you know, I mean, I've been wrestling 5 more years than Adrian, so I guess it's experience, you know, and maybe he'll never will change his cocky attitude. I don't know.
Well,
but some people say I am too. But
well,
I try to back it up.
That's right. Well, maybe he'll go in against you, and we'll find out. You know what they say? The father taught the son everything the son knows, but he didn't teach him everything that the old man knows.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's intermission time, and of course, we always try to introduce you to not only established wrestling athletes, but also some newcomers to the spectrum. We do have a newcomer tonight, and this is Adrian Adonis. He's from New York City. He's a rough guy. He dresses in leather. I don't know if I want to mess with him. I'm not here to mess with him. But we're here to get some information on it. Adrian, you've been wrestling about how long now?
About 6 years. Right, I'd say right now I like you better than Howard Cosell. I like your suit better, I like your sweater better, and your tie and your appearance.
Hey, I like a man who talks like that.
I like to say this right now. All the people back there in New York City, I'm talking the Big Apple, I'm talking about right downtown Manhattan. Now, everybody knows me down there from Buffalo, New York, Rochester, Utica, all around New York State. I've wrestled amateur. I fought in the street. I've made myself a name, and I've beaten a lot of opponents, the same opponents that Bob Backlund's beaten. And I want a shot with Mr. Bob Backlund because I know that I can carry that WWF title around my waist better than anybody. My wrestling skills from everybody. I have learned from Buddy Rogers, Terry Funk, Dory Funk, Dr. Jerry Graham. I have learned from renowned people, brilliant people. They have educated me. I have watched. I have learned. I am not a know-it-all when I first started in this business, but now I am because I know wrestling like I know spaghetti and Italian bread.
Adrian Adonis, well, I don't know. The guy is totally confident. He wants Bob Backlund. He wants him as soon as possible. Of course, tonight's the wrong night only because Backlund scheduled against the Hammer, Valentine. But anyway, may we see this coming up shortly? Do you have a feeling about
I
that?
sure hope so. That has to happen. I have beaten everybody all over the country. I've held the USA title out in San Francisco, California, the WWR title out in Portland, Oregon. I've held the British Columbia Championship in Vancouver, British Columbia. Myself and Mr. Ventura, we have won the World Tag Team titles out in the Midwest, the AWA. And so I have the background. I don't have to brag. It's no fact check. Everybody knows me, and I'm going to take the title back to the Big Apple where it belongs. I'm talking about downtown Times Square, and I'm going to walk down the street, and I'm going to wear it with my head up, and everybody's head's going to be up. Because you know something? Ever since Namath left New York, there's been nothing, and now I'm coming to New York.
Got a good question for you. I think it's an honest question. You want Backlund. You want his title. How about the tag team title then? You and Ventura.
Well, me and Ventura, we came here, and we are now singles. We are trying for the same thing, the single belt championship. As far as tag team, maybe in the future, maybe behind the future. I don't even want nothing to do with it right now. I want Bob Backlund.
All right. Looks like he's thrown not only his leather gloves down, but the gauntlet as well. And Adrian Adonis has made it very plain. He's good. He knows it. He's paid his dues in the wrestling game, and he's ready. So Bob Backlund, better look out.
Our intermission guest tonight at Spectrum Wrestling is Steve Travis, a young man who's been in the wrestling circuit, I think, about 6 or 7 years, and at the Spectrum, I think, about 2 years now, about the same time Rick McGraw first came into the Philadelphia area to wrestle. I mentioned Rick McGraw for a very special reason, which we'll get to in just a moment. Steve, you used to go against Rick McGraw, Quick Draw Rick McGraw, because you guys were competing colleges down the Carolinas, weren't you?
Dick, that's right. Not too many people know the background between us, so just let me give you a little information on that. But he went to a school in Burlington, North Carolina called Elon College, and I went to a school called Guilford College, which is roughly 20 miles apart. And they were, our two schools were arch rivals, you know, very hot rivalry between the two schools. And so while we were in college, we competed against each other, both in wrestling and football. So out of that intense rivalry, between the two schools sprung a friendship, a lasting friendship between Rick and I, because we weren't such close friends when we were competing against each other.
Not on the football field or wrestling, Matt, either. When did you guys first come together? I know you've been crossing paths in the pro wrestling circuit, but you just started wrestling as a team just fairly recently, and we're going to get on to something very soon about that, too, something upcoming.
Okay, well, like you say, our paths have crisscrossed like they have a habit of doing in the pro circuit, but since we left college, you know, I've kept up with Rick, but, you know, nothing, phone call here, maybe a letter every now and then, holidays or something, I see him. But since we were both up here wrestling, it was just kind of a quirk of fate that we ended up here together, because he was convalescing off of a bad neck injury, as you well know, and so I was in touch with him then while he was hurt, and so he came back to this area, you know, to continue his wrestling after his neck had healed up. And so I had since then come in this area wrestling, and of course he was a sight for sore eyes, and so things have just more or less fallen into place since we've been up here together as far as the tag team.
Well, you guys have been paired up, and you do rather well. I've seen you as a tag team duo, and it's very possible that very shortly, maybe within a month or so, you're going to be going against the Japanese title holders. You'd like to expand upon that, maybe up the Meadowlands, is it?
Yes, that's correct. We got a big upcoming match in the Meadowlands and against the Japs for the title. And let me just say this about that. Rick and I haven't, in my estimation, gelled as a tag team combination yet, but I think we have a lot of good qualities and potential. Our different styles complement each other, say, like Tony Gurria and Rick Martel. Their styles complement each other. And being as we both come from the same geographical background, North Carolina, and I kind of know where Rick's coming from. He knows where I'm coming from, and we're very good friends. And that adds a lot to a tag team relationship, because I know that if things really get tough in the ring, I can depend on him to back me up all the way.
Well, I think seeing you as you wrestled as a single a couple years ago, and also Rick when you first came here several years back, I remember that just how quick you guys are, and you can put that together. Maybe we got a belt in the offing, huh?
Well, you never know. Rick and I certainly have visions of grandeur, if you will, but the current title holders, Fuji and Saito, they're nothing to be taken lightly.
Sure.
Saito is a silver medalist from the Olympics some time back. He has international experience. Obviously, both of those guys have got the experience on us. I got to give them that much. And Fuji, with his knowledge of the martial arts, he's dangerous anytime, anywhere. But I think the things that are going for us are our intense desire to win, our competitiveness, our youth, if you will. We're young and hungry and ambitious. Yes, speed and possibly endurance also, because we both we train together in the gym, and I think we're age-wise we're about the prime of our pro career.
If I ever walk some of the dark streets of Philadelphia, and I don't want these two guys, Rick and Steve, with me on either side of me, big as I am, but I'm out of shape. Listen, you've got a good future ahead of you. We've seen you come along beautifully as you started here at the Spectrum several years back. So a big future. You've got a little bit bigger. You've bulked up a little bit in the weight department, and you've got all these good quicknesses and moves going for you. I think we've got a good future for you guys.
Dick, like I say, we're just really elated that we're getting the opportunity, that we got a chance, like in the Meadowlands, for a big match, for a title match, and good Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise. I hope you're going to be seeing some good things coming from the Carolina Connection.
Well, we expect it from the Carolina Connection. Rick McGraw, and of course our guest tonight at intermission, Steve Travis. This is Dick Graham saying we'll be back in just a moment. It's always a pleasure to interview the wrestlers, of course, but a very special one. This is the very special wrestler, the favorite of my wife, Rita. And she loves Andre the Giant just as everybody else does, I think. I don't think I've met anybody who doesn't like you, Andre. And I was just wondering, I saw you tonight for the first time in about a month. What's the beard? You're not going to get into Hollywood films or anything, are you?
I got a beard because when I play in that Fall Guys, they want me to get a beard, so I keep it on.
Okay, well then...
I don't shave it yet, so I got to wait a little bit more.
Well, you jumped ahead of me. I was going to ask you about being in the Fall Guy, that television series, about a month or two ago, was it?
Yeah, that was in... February. Yeah. Because I'm still friends with Lee Major since I played in $6 Million Man.
I remember that.
And one time I saw him in Hollywood, and he told me he promised me to play in his new TV series. So he got me the part to be a wrestler this time, and that was good.
Well, you travel so much, doesn't matter whether you have the beard or not. When are you going to shave it off? Or
maybe 3 or 4 more weeks.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Just till you get tired of it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about the Fall Guy a moment ago, which Andre appeared in as one of the featured players in the story. And Andre also has something very special to talk about pertaining to a new sports-type movie. Isn't that true?
No, it's not a movie. It's just like...
Sports Illustrated.
Yes. The name of the show will be Sports Illustrated.
It's a brand new show, is it?
Yes. The first one will come on in May. Well, I'm not going to be in that one. I'm going to be in the second one. I think will be in September or something like that.
Okay. So I understand they've been, the camera crews have been following you around and doing the videotaping of you, and they'll put it all together later and make a feature out of it.
Yeah, they've been with me for almost 2 months. They come with me in Japan. They come in Vegas and Los Angeles. And they come in North Carolina and my house and all that. I'm supposed to get a half hour on there.
Do they follow you just where you're going, or do they actually follow you to where you're going to be wrestling? Do they get that far?
No, they just want to make a report about Andre the Giant's life. They're just following me, just like I'm supposed to go, just like they know there at all. I'm supposed to know them.
All right.
That was.
Well, you talk about traveling, and you travel. I don't know what cities you haven't been to, but I asked you earlier before the interview what kind of food you like. You said all kinds of food. I said, is there any food you don't like? You said, no, there's nothing I don't like. But if there was if you had one meal
if you could order a meal, and a very special meal, a one-time only meal, what would you probably pick? Is that too tough a question? I'm not saying just Italian or French or whatever, but if you could pick out a meal, what would you? You like a lot of meats and with a lot of tasty vegetables?
I really don't mind. Everything is on the table. I eat it.
You know, one thing, I don't know that I want to be sitting at the same table with Andre. I'd want to go to another restaurant, eat first, then I'll sit down with him, because it looks like you'll just bring all the food over to the table in front of him, and good luck to anybody who's there. But there's no special food that you do like then?
No, because I've been in wrestling now for almost 18 years and be all the time in different countries. I test the food from all different countries. And
Is it tough going from one country to another and getting used to the time differences and also the water, the food? Is there a problem there?
It takes 3 or 4 days and then 1 week to get going again. Yeah. I just come back from Japan, and next month I'm going to Mexico. Then I come back in New York, and then I'm going back in Japan again for 3 or 4 weeks.
You're going to get some of that hot Mexican food, are you?
Oh, that's not mine. That's okay.
Not only a big man, but apparently has a cast iron stomach. Well, tonight after our interview, very shortly, you're going to be in a tag team match to wind up with Rick McGraw. You and Rick McGraw are together, and you're so big, and he's kind of a very small guy, but very, very strong, of course. Do you have any particular holds, or what kind of approach you guys going to take against Mr. Cieto and Mr. Fuji?
We will try to do our best, and I would tell to Rick McGraw I'm going to start a match, and I'm going to finish it too.
You're going to tell him to start it, and you'll finish it?
No, I will start it.
You'll start it, he'll finish it. All right, good.
I want him to get a good night.
It's a pleasure always, our interview with Andre the Giant. Just another look at Andre, a different, a little bit of background piece on him. It's our pleasure. Of course, we'll be back with more in just a moment. Well, this gentleman's wearing a suit. I know you know the face without seeing the rest of the body, but the body goes along with the body of the man of Tony Atlas, and he's something else. As I said to Cal Rudman during the wrestling last month when I saw you in the ring, Tony, I said, man, if I died and went to heaven, came back again, I'd choose your bride. I'd tell you, you're a sensational guy. You've been into bodybuilding for a long time, although you're still a young guy, but I think your maximum has been, what, 600 pounds you've lifted?
Yes, sir. In the past, I have lifted 600 pounds, but that was at about 15 pounds heavier than what I am now. Now I'm about 250. I had to keep myself in a weight where I don't be too light, but don't be too heavy where I can't move around in the ring, because professional wrestlers don't only require you to be strong and heavy, it also requires you to have a lot of speed and a lot of agility, because how big and strong you are, you know, if you get in that ring and you get tired, the other man, you know, he's going to take advantage of it and he's going to defeat you.
Well, you know, I can never really understand, as big as you guys are and as strong and muscle-bound as you are and muscle-bound, I mean, as strong as you are and so big, how you really can be so fast on your feet. You guys are super quick, and I see it, but I don't believe it sometimes, you know.
Well, you know, today, for some odd reason, you know, athletes all over the world today, you know, you got like professional football players, you know, 260, 270 pounds, running like a 10 flat in the 100, you know, and like a 4.7, 4.6 in the 40. So, you know, the athletes today, I don't know if it's the training or eating or just the advancement of the sports, you know, different sports, and advancement of people to make them, you know, achieve great deal more goals. At one time, like for a man to lift 400 pounds, you know, he would consider as a pretty powerful individual. Then you got a guy like Ken Patera, who was the first man ever to lift 500 pounds over his head. And since Patera done it, a guy come along by the name of Alexis and do 565, and it just goes on and on. You know, it just every year athletes get bigger and stronger, and not only professional wrestling, but also in other sports such as football, baseball, basketball, all down the line.
Well, Tony, what are you saying? Maybe in 10 years you expect to see a guy maybe lift 700 or 800 pounds?
Probably
maybe?
Before then.
Think so?
Oh, yeah, because not too long ago, the world's record was set by a Kazmat at 665, so that's only something like 35 pounds away from, yes, 35 pounds away from 700.
So I got to ask you a question. We don't have too much time here. How do you stay in shape? I mean, you travel so much, and you know you're living on the road, and you're here tonight in Philadelphia, you're gone, and you're someplace else tomorrow night or Monday wrestling. How do you stay in shape?
Very, very, very difficult. we try to get into a town early where we go to the local YMCA or like right around the area. They got different bodybuilding gyms we go to, and when that is unavailable, we try to go to the track. You know, most of the towns we go to got a college, so we go to the college track, and most of the high schools and college have facilities, and they are, you know, have been very proud and happy for us to come back to school and work out with some of the kids, and you know, we enjoy it also, and plus you're able to get a good workout.
Got to ask you, I'm leading up to something because there's another part of you who's very important to your wife. We'll get to her in just a few minutes. But is she a pretty good cook, is she?
Yes, she is. She's responsible for me to really get back on my feet, you know, and she's very strong. A lot of time I'm quick-tempered and get myself in a lot of trouble by running my mouth. Yeah. So she the one with the steady head, you know, and she handled a lot of my financial stuff, and she helped me train. She gave me that encouragement when I said, well, I ain't going to the gym today. She said, boy, you better get out this bed and get on down there. Yeah, she wear the britches in the house.
He's a strong man, as you can tell, and he's a man among men. But, boy, when it comes to the woman... Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for the interview, Tony. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Can we get this guy? All right, let's get Mulligan.
Time of the fall, 6 minutes, 46 seconds. The winner, Blackjack Mulligan.
Notice, Cal, I put you between Mulligan and myself. Blackjack Mulligan, the winner of this match tonight.
Obviously, being an unbiased sports announcer that you two gentlemen are, I'm sure that you didn't side with me or side with Travis or side with anybody else. I'm sure you kept it right down the middle, right?
Right.
Being unbiased?
Right.
Let me tell you two people something. You armchair quarterback sitting down here trying to call a match. Somebody as great as Jack Mulligan is. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's coming up next. Because, brother, deep down inside, Blackjack Mulligan has got that instinct to take a man apart if he wants to. Backlund, you're nobody to me. What we are talking about is Andre the Giant. I am the only giant, legitimate, United States, homebred, West Texan, and that big French idiot comes over here and beats every American. I'm ashamed of you, and I'm ashamed of you not sticking with good old American beef. Now what's going to happen here, gentlemen, is that one, Andre the Giant has got his equal. Two, I'm a good old cornbread, homespun, cornbread, beans, potatoes, football player. I don't quit. We're taught from the grade 1 not to quit. And you see something, Andre, you've never faced anything like that in your life. You have no idea, brother, what it is. 10 seconds to go, third down, time's running out, and you're behind. That's what's going to happen to you. Two, I want to be referred to from this point on as Andre the Giant, killer. I'll have to take all of his contracts. I'll have to take all of his endorsements. Lee Majors will have to call me. He won't call Andre anymore. I'll have to take Farrah Fawcett out. I'll have to take Jacqueline Kennedy out.
All right, okay,
The mayor will have to come and get me.
Right.
I will have to take all his endorsements. All the
Put him
TV
down, Cal. Put him away, baby.
A formality that we call these fellows by name. Jesse the Body Ventura. Everybody knows who he is because they just recognize him. He's on the street or whether he's in the wrestling arena such as here at the Spectrum. Jesse the Body Ventura, and he's got his work cut out tonight. We're going to get to that in just a second. A real nice interview on both you and Adrian Adonis in this week's edition of People Magazine.
That's right. People Magazine has recognized the East-West Connection as the greatest tag team in the annals of professional wrestling history. People Magazine. I mean, there's Adonis and me with Jane Fonda, Liz Taylor, all of my friends. I've made it up with my friends. The Rolling Stones, you name it, Adonis and Ventura are right there with them. And I just want to say one thing, you know, I got a new girlfriend now. who's nastier than I am. Her name's Erica Kane.
She can't be nastier than you.
Oh, this woman is nasty. But now let's get on to action. Let's talk about tonight. Steel cage match.
No place to hide.
There's no place to hide, nowhere to go, and it'll be settled once and for all. You know, I embarrassed Atlas in a pose down. I should be Mr. USA. I flashed him arm wrestling. He got lippy, so I beat him up a little bit. Now, I beat him in the last match. You were there. Outsmarted the man. He's got nothing between his ears. Tonight, there's nowhere to run. Big Tony Atlas, Mr. USA, will go down. And after tonight, Jesse the Body Ventura will be a name on the lips in households all over the world. People magazine, Rolling Stone magazine, you name it, the Body will be there. But I will tell you this, my wrestling career is drawing to a close because Hollywood is calling. What can I say?
You think I'm going to argue with him? Jesse the Body Ventura going against Tony Atlas tonight?
Bony Tony to you.
Well, I'd rather you told him that. I'd prefer not to.
I'll tell him in the center of the ring.
There it is, fans. Anything can happen. Don't go away.
Okay, Cal Rudman, yours truly, Dick Graham here, ringside of the Spectrum, and they're putting the steel cage match up, as you see on your screen right now. And they are busy, these guys. Get a lot of credit to the ringsiders, these workmen who do such a marvelous job in such a short period of time. They are really pros. They do a great job, and they don't really get the credit as some of us who appear on television do. Anyway, Cal, some comments about Tony Atlas. You talked to him briefly before we began tonight.
Well, I don't know whether Tony Atlas will be able to take Jesse the Body, but he's a very interesting down guy. So we got down, we got up, we got funky, and we got bad.
So let's have a look then and listen to Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, and his interview with Cal Rudman.
Well, this is Cal Rudman with you here at the Spectrum, and I am with Tony Atlas. Tony, I heard you talking about what you were going to do in this bout, and I love the way you express yourself, because where I come from, southwest corner of 7th and Berks in North Philadelphia, we talk like that too. Be running upside somebody's head, put a hurt in their butt. Now, when you knock somebody down, can they count to 100 and fractions over them? They still not going to get up?
Well, you know, my father always told me, and he said, when you get a man down, you ain't supposed to let him up. Because if you let him up, he's liable to get you down and might not let you up. You know, once you get the opportunity to TCB, take care of business, you're supposed to go ahead about it. You ain't supposed to be shucking and jabbing and playing around and giving somebody the upper hand, because, like, say, for example, you got somebody in the ring like the Animal Steel or Jesse the Body Ventura. If either one of these people should get the advantage of you, I mean, the case closed. You know, they ain't gonna let you up. They ain't gonna give you a sucker chase. Most of the time in professional wrestling, just like professional football player. If you're a professional football player and you're a running back, once they give you the ball, you got one chance to run. Before some 270-pound man tackle you and make you feel like not running the ball again. And the same thing in the...
Intimidate you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you know that match last time? I was the guy wiping the blood from your head, and you swung your arm around me. They reran that on the TV. Did you know that was me wiping the blood?
Oh,
and you got your head busted on the table in front of me?
I didn't know what was.
Yeah, that was me. I felt bad for you. I hope I don't have to do that for you today.
Oh, no.
I don't think so.
Oh, no. I'm going to try not to let him get to me.
I know.
I'm going to try to keep him off of me.
I want to ask you about something else. This new movie's coming out, Rocky III, you know, and Hulk Hogan is in it. And I met Burt Young in Atlantic City at the fight, and he told me that Hulk Hogan steals the picture. It's at an arena in Philadelphia. But I wanted to ask you about this Mr. T, this bodyguard for Muhammad Ali. Now, a lot of people heard about him. He's been on TV throwing midgets around, and Sylvester Stallone was on Johnny Carson talking about how he saw him on TV. Now, you don't know the dude, but he's not a professional wrestler. Now, about how long you think he would last in a steel cage with you? I won't even talk about Jesse the Body. Mr. T, what do you think?
As long as it's taking me to hit him.
How long would it take you to get to him?
As soon as I see him, you know, no sooner I lay eyes on him, you know, You know, if I make contact with him with this Africa soup bone, you know, he's all over but the shouting, you know.
Well, how good can he be if he's not a professional wrestler? Now, he's already got this reputation. Now, what can a guy like that really do, in your opinion?
Well, you know, it's hard to tell because you really can't judge the individual until you meet him. But I got confidence in myself to know that anything that hadn't been trained, you know, for physical contact, I'm worrying about Mr. T whooping me just about as much as I'm worrying about my grandmother whooping me, you know?
Well, like I like to say, if you hit him, his grandmother would feel it, and she's dead.
Oh, yeah. If I have to fight him, I wear a solid white suit and a top hat and wouldn't even take my hat off. Yeah, I beat him like a drum.
Right upside his head.
Yeah,
right?
I tighten up
put
on
a
his
hurt
mouth.
on him.
Yeah, tighten up on his mouth.
All right. Keep on talking, Tony. Yeah. All right. We're going to be right back. Keep talking, Tony. Anybody, my man.
Next week.
All right. And I be hurting him. I put a hurt on his butt and I run upside his head and I stomp him.
Who's going to argue with him?
Are you going to argue with him, Dick?
No, man. No.
I ain't playing with him now.
Hey, there you go, Cal. There's a look at the steel cage. These guys are just phenomenal. They're almost finished erecting the steel cage.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, our fan of the month is in attendance tonight. He's Frank Parker. Here, hey, there they are, with wife Diane and friends Shavers Williams and wife Carmela. I'm sure they're enjoying tonight's action. Had a nice chance to talk to them before the matches tonight, and real nice people, real nice to talk to.
And the
that guy,
so
Frank Parker.
Look how pretty
they are. And
Oh,
that Parker
beautiful.
guy, I tell you, he's a giant. And I understand his friend Shavers is videotaping this whole thing tonight, so I guess they're hearing our comments. So there you have it. That's a look at our wrestling fans of the month, and they're just happy to be here from Jersey, and we're glad to see them too.
The young gentleman next to me is Salvatore Bellomo, who came to our country not very long ago, last wrestled here at the Spectrum in July this year, and he's here again, of course, tonight, and we expect to see a lot of him. Salvatore, you're from Italy. How long? Where in Italy, and how long have you been here in the United States?
I'm from Sicily and Rome, but I'm here for 3 months almost altogether, and I'm very happy.
Okay. And you're living up around the Connecticut area, which gives you opportunity to travel along the East Coast to wrestle. What's your impression of the United States? Is it all that you thought it was, or how do you feel about it?
But wrestling is different. But I want to say one thing. I used to think about all my friends to go to America and never come back, you know. I don't know why. And now I understand because people are so nice over here. And every time I go in an arena, people come to me and say, welcome to America. And the girl give me a flag. Or they think it's a beautiful country. And I'm very happy to be here, you know.
You're almost wearing your Italian flag tonight, are you not?
Yeah, I'm wearing Italian flag because this is for my country and I'm fighting for something, you know. But I want to say if I have the chance to fight for the American flag, I will do too because the people is very behind me, and if the people want to represent America too, I will do it, and I'll dip in my heart.
Well, I remember in July, as I said, when you first came to the Spectrum in Philadelphia, everybody they took to you. They loved you right off the bat. They loved you. And I think you've got something going with the American people. I think there's going to be a long, nice relationship.
Yeah, I hope, yeah, because I gotta say, I feel every time I go in the arena, the people scream and yell, and it's a so beautiful feeling. You know, I'm very close to my family, to mom and dad. He's in Italy right now, but then talk to lately and with my family and say if the people love you like that, they gotta respect all these people. You know, anybody come in the arena and I will say thank you. You know, and just it's a strange feeling, but very good feeling exactly. You know?
All right, so we don't know a lot about you, Salvatore. How did you begin wrestling? You began in Italy, obviously. How was it? How did you begin?
Oh, my mom used to say, you want to do wrestling, but why you want to do that? And I said, I want to do that because I love the sport, but I never think I'd be a real professional wrestler. But what happened, one thing bringing the other thing, you know, I've been Germany, Austria, and England, Belgium, France, all these countries. But always when I start turn pro in 73, I say, Mom, I want to go America. And then he said, what you want to do? Go that far, you know. But I think America is a beautiful country. And a long time, I tried already America before in East Coast, Oregon. And I got to say, it's a bit different. Over here, it's totally different. You know, you go in the arena, what I say again, I repeat myself. People's there behind you and you say, the people knows you already. It's something fantastic, you know. And voglio dire anche italiani che sono là, sì. Tutti italiani che Vi capisco perché siete in America adesso.
Oh, I was going to ask you if you want to say something in Italian to the fans out there.
Yeah, I want to say to my friend Italian, sono tanto contento che sono qua a riprendere la bandiera italiana e tutti gli altri italiani che siete là. Speriamo che venite alla lotta a parlare con me, che non capisco tanto bene inglese, lo parlo, ma speriamo che vieni e ci vediamo, no?
It sounds good to me, huh? Salvatore Bellomo, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. Congratulations for doing so well so far with the wrestling here in the United States. I'm sure you're going to have a great following. Great success.
I want to say to people, I love USA and thank you very much.
Here are the official wrestling ratings. Ranked 10th is Chief J. Strongbow. Rated 9th is Polish Power, Ivan Putski. 8th belongs to Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Jesse the Body Ventura is 7th. Ranked 6th is Adrian Adonis. Greg the Hammer Valentine is 5th. Our good amigo, Pedro Morales, is 4th. Cowboy Bob Orton, 3rd. Ranked 2nd is Blackjack Mulligan. Superfly Jimmy Snuka is the top-ranked challenger. And as always, Bob Backlund is the champion. We'll be right back. First, here are some scenes from Stir Crazy. Well, here we are, the Graham brothers, Dick Graham and superstar Billy Graham. And I'll tell you, don't mess with us. You can mess with me, but not when this guy's around. Billy Graham, we're glad to welcome you back after, what, about 4 years absence here at the Spectrum?
Yes, that's right. It's been a little over 4 years since I've been in the Spectrum, and I coming back now stronger than ever. Mental attitude is fresher than ever. I've toured the world since I've been gone. I've gone into the martial arts, studied the martial arts very, very carefully, very thoroughly, for one purpose only, and that's to enhance my wrestling techniques and ability. That's why I became a black belt in karate and different various martial arts to add to the tremendous power that I already have and possess, more aggressiveness, more viciousness, more power, and a more an attitude of not being able to hurt. Because when you study the martial arts, karate and jiu-jitsu and the different forms of martial arts, you are trained to withstand more pain than a normal human being. More pain than when I was champion, when I beat Bruno Sammartino, and when I established the all-time attendance record for this very building, over 19,800 people for any event ever held in the Philadelphia Spectrum. Now I'm even stronger than that, physically and mentally.
All right. I understand all you said, Billy, but what got you into this? Here you are, a wrestler of note. You've been a champion. You've always wrestled well. You've wrestled with open contracts. It didn't matter who you wrestled. You took on the whole world. Why did you get into this particularly?
The martial arts, you're speaking of, yes. Well, the reason I got into the martial arts is because after I was champion, I became champion of the world, defeated Bruno Sammartino, became champion of the world, and then on a technicality, on a very, very poor judgment call by the referee, gave up the belt, World Wrestling Championship belt, to Bobby Backlund on a very bad call from the referee. And then that was really the crux of the matter, the deciding factor that pushed me over. Talking to friends, went to Korea, went to Japan, went to Calcutta, Bangladesh, all around the world, the martial arts capital of the world, and was totally convinced that that would be the edge. That would be the razor sharp edge that would put me a notch above, even though I was world champion and above the other wrestlers. But my initial comeback, to come back and gain the world championship again and to retain it, the martial arts, the aggressiveness and the viciousness and the power and the discipline that you learn from being a martial arts champion would give me the edge, the absolute convincing edge to gain the championship and remain champion.
Well, Billy, I got to ask you, we understand how you've wrestled before, but how do you justify, we only have about a minute left, how do you justify or how can you combine wrestling as per se as you used to, and of course the martial arts now.
Yeah,
looks
what
like
it
it's
is,
two different things.
what the martial arts is a supplement to professional wrestling. My professional wrestling has been enhanced, and now the martial arts is a supplement. It's like taking vitamin pills when you're ill. It's like eating an extra steak, drinking an extra gallon of milk. This is a supplement which is added to my diet of professional wrestling to guarantee my championship, return to the championship of the world, and keep it once and for all.
One more thing. You talked about the championship in just a very few seconds. You've been booked against Pedro Morales tonight. Of course, that's history by the time we're watching this. Now, Backlund, quickly.
Yes, Backlund will fall. It's a matter of time. I don't know which city we'll be in. It's a matter of time. I know for a fact the man is petrified to death of superstar Billy Graham's return because I am now a black belt in karate and a martial arts champion, and he's petrified he will fall.
You heard it there. He's thrown the gauntlet. We'll find out as the future comes along just how prophetic his words are. He says Backlund will fall. Superstar Billy Graham, this is Dick Graham saying more action coming up.
Cal Rudman here, and I've got Playboy Buddy Rose, his debut interview in Philadelphia at the Spectrum on PRISM. Playboy Buddy Rose, I don't agree with people that say that just because a man or a woman comes from a family of wealth, that they can't go out and knock heads and get beat up and perform in professional athletics, professional wrestling. Has being raised wealthy in any way handicapped you in what you're trying to do, achieve the championship?
No, it hasn't, but a lot of people, some people say, why do you wrestle? Why do you go out there and get thrown around? Why, if you've got all that money? Well, let me tell you something. I've got goals in life I like to set and prove myself to you, prove to you people that I can do it myself without the money. Now, you know, I make big money in professional wrestling anyway. I mean, I wouldn't even have to wrestle, but I'm doing it just to show my family and my relations and my friends and the world that I am the greatest professional athlete that professional wrestling has to offer. And I will prove that right against Bob Backlund.
Well, that is a worthy goal, even more than being heavyweight boxing champion, because, I don't know, how long would Larry Holmes last in a ring with you, man to man?
Well, you just put us in the ring and I'll show you. I mean, I'd rather...
Well, what's the answer? How long would he last?
He'd last 1 round.
1 round.
Yeah, I'd grab right a hold of him right away. I'll tell you right now, a wrestler will beat a boxer any day, any given time, and that is my personal opinion, and I'll challenge anybody to that question right now and just put me up against it.
Well, then that's the point. You want to be the baddest that there is in the world, and that is quite a goal. Are your family proud of you, what you've done so far, Buddy Rose?
Sure they are, and I'd like to say something else. When I win this championship belt, the statue out there, they have a Rocky outside the Spectrum here. I think that since he made the Spectrum famous for the movie Rocky, it was all fantasy, but this is for real. And when I win the championship and make it the Spectrum famous for a championship changing hands, I think they should make a statue of myself, and I think they should put it with the belt, me holding the belt up in the air, and put it right alongside the Rocky statue out there, and Sylvester Stallone and Buddy Rose should be known for making the Spectrum famous.
Oh, we'll get Roden to do it himself. Is wrestling your only sport, or did you participate in other
No, I was going to go on to professional baseball or professional hockey. Like if I went out here right now, I could teach the Philadelphia Flyers how to play a little bit better hockey. I could teach the Philadelphia Phillies how to play a little bit better baseball. I don't have to tell Pete Rose how to do anything. Pete Rose is the best that Philadelphia has to offer.
Is he related? Is he related?
No, he's not. But maybe we are down the line. Maybe we are, but I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you, because the Roses are going to make Philadelphia famous. Pete Rose already has, but this Buddy Rose in wrestling is going to make Philadelphia famous.
Is this lush life exaggerated? I can't imagine that you could train and do all the things you have to do and have these ladies around all the time.
Train. I don't believe in weights. The only training I believe in is with my women, living the good life. I don't smoke. I do not drink. I do not do drugs. But I do love the women. I do love the things with the women.
Well, I never said that made you a bad person. I've got a record here from Captain Lou.
And I've got a record, too.
Yeah, and you know I program America's radio station.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so...
I do now.
At the Friday Morning Quarterback. So Captain Lou has Bourne-House Pie. What's the name of your record, Buddy Rose?
It's called The Playboy, and it's written by a group back west, and I've got a bunch of 45s. If you'd like one, I'll give you one.
I would love one.
You got it.
We're going to say goodbye, but we'll find out how many wrestling fans. You just call up your favorite rock radio station, WMMR, WYSP, WPST Trenton. Tell them to play Captain Lou, and we'll get a copy of Buddy Rose
Playboy?
The Playboy, the lifestyle. Tells how I live and what I'm like and everything like that.
We're going to make rock stars out of the wrestlers, too. Good luck in your match. I know you're determined to win.
I will win. I'm not going to get beat. Nobody's putting me down.
This is Cal Rudman with the Golden Boy Arnold Skaaland and the just victorious Bob Backlund defeating Buddy Rose. How does it feel?
Oh, it feels really good, you know, to get a victory over this man, especially the way all the people were responding and that support, you know what that means to us.
We had a big crowd here tonight, too, an amazing crowd.
I don't know, it's hard to explain to people out there that have never wrestled before, but Arnie knows how it feels when those people get behind you and they support you and they give you that extra adrenaline. And I was a little down tonight, but boy, when they get behind you and they really fire you up and they give you that extra energy.
Well, let me tell everybody what you did it with. This is the first time that you have won a match at the Spectrum with your bread and butter hold, the chicken wing. And what really made the chicken wing work was your crossface hold. Do you want to explain exactly what happened there?
Well, a chicken wing is pressure on the shoulder, but when you cross-face them and you get those hands locked, it's virtually, I don't think anybody can get out of it. And Arnie's been wrestling for a long, long time, and we perfected that hold. He helped me with it, and I got this man to thank for that hold, and I really appreciate everything Arnie does for me every day. Something.
Well, Cal, let me say one thing. I mean, you can teach somebody something, but if you don't have a fellow like Bob Backlund, who's in such terrific condition, no matter if you know a hold, but Bob is in such terrific condition. He works out regularly every day, and he's such fine condition that if he ever gets that hold on your brother, it's all over.
Well, I can give testimony to that. Just before we went on the air, you congratulated him in the absolute heat of the battle and the sweat pouring out of him about how he locked his fingers in. Do you want to explain that to the audience?
Well, that's something we've been working on for a long time.
Demonstrate that, just what happened.
Well, we just don't want to show everybody how we do these things.
How he slid the fingers in, that's all.
He just got him, hooked them in good and tight, and he just cinched up on that chin. This is the one, grip like that. That's the way I had it. And he's such a fine athlete, Cal. I just don't want to boast in front of him because
I'm a witness to that.
But, he is a great athlete in tremendous condition. I've seen many where I've wrestled, many world champions, and I don't think I've ever seen any of them as fine a condition as Bobby is. And he knows wrestling inside and out.
Now, there's to tell you exactly what happened, you didn't just go into the chicken wing. You set him up. You did the arm stretcher hold. Do you want to explain why you did that and why it was necessary?
The chicken wing has been my bread and butter, and I'm trying to weaken his arm, get him in a position to get him in that hold, and it makes it a little easier when he's tired, when you got his arm lower down a little bit. And when you get a man, a weak spot on a man, whether it's his leg or his arm or his head, you try to stay on it and wear him down, and maybe you're going to sneak something on him. And tonight it was a chicken wing.
Yeah, now he got 5 quick, big elbow smashes in a row. How badly stunned were you?
Oh, he had me going pretty good there. I must admit, I got you can't judge the book.
The book by its cover. That's your favorite saying.
You got to read through it, and you look at this man, and you wouldn't think he could do what he can do in that ring. But I respect that man.
Yeah, he's very agile.
Yes, he is. And Cal, I got a tough one coming up here in the Philly area. A real tough one.
What is that?
I've got. We just signed a match with Don Morocco.
Yeah. Well,
and,
okay. Tell me about that.
He's a man that I've wrestled him before, and geez, he's tough, and we're looking forward to a heck of a wrestling match. And I know Arnie respects him. We don't care for some of the things he does or some of the things he says, but boy, when we get in the ring against him, we know we got a hands full.
And we know we got a few surprises for Don Morocco too, because we've wrestled him before, so we're going to go about it a different way this time.
Well, wait, let's go into this a little bit more. You say this very low key. You've wrestled him before. Now, the truth of the matter is, I believe it was in Madison Square Garden. They tell us it's the toughest match you've ever had and the worst beating that you've ever endured, the most pain. Would that be close to the truth?
Yeah, sometimes you can win the battle, but you don't really win the war. Sometimes you win the match and you get hurt worse than your opponent. But
how badly hurt were you there, Bob?
He had me going pretty good, and I hung on. But every time I get in the ring with him, like I say, I have my hands full, but all these people around here have been supporting us.
Oh, they're really behind you. The energy, the crowd was magnificent.
I can't thank them enough for everything they've done for me, and I try to train hard and work out hard and do my best in the ring just for those good people out there.
Well, I had told you when we first came in tonight, we both got here early. You got here very early to work out, and the kids wanted autographs. So as I signed each one, I asked them who their favorite wrestler was. And hey, the only way to take a survey is to do it. And I told you I was a little surprised
but kid after kid after kid chanted your name. And I know you're grateful for that.
Well, I love the kids, and I try to help the kids as much as I can and deal with them as much as I can. They're going to be the leaders of this country someday. They're going to run the country, and we gotta help the kids all we can.
Well, speaking of kids and Bob Backlund, I must say this to the audience. Number one, the wrestling program that you run in the New York area for kids, which we discussed in an interview that I did with you, is just unparalleled. And second of all, when I was co-host and entertainment chairman of this year's Arthritis Telethon, you were kind enough to come all the way down from home, and we broke the record, over $800,000, and that came in on Channel 17 here in Philadelphia, where Championship Wrestling is seen. And I can't tell you how grateful everybody is, because there are a lot of little kids suffering from arthritis, and what you did there is just amazing.
Well, thank you very, very much, Cal. I appreciate all your nice comments. And
well, you've got to get the credit for it, because you do it.
Let me tell you one thing, Cal. He's a little humble, you know. He didn't just do that, and he just doesn't help the kids for the wrestling team, but he visits a lot of hospitals and homes for the old people, and he really, with the veterans and everything, he consumes a lot of his time helping people and talking to children and everything. I've been with him on numerous occasions, and when he walks into a room, he just electrifies the whole room.
Well, as a matter of fact, I took Bob personally to Children's Hospital here in Philadelphia, and we went on every floor in every ward, and he just, as you said, electrified the entire hospital.
He sure does. He's a great person. I hate to say it in front of him, but he really is he's helpful to anybody that he can do anything for.
Okay, when is that match going to be now with Morocco? Do you know? Okay, congratulations to you. We've run out of time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, too.
Bye. Cal Rudman here. Thank you, Dick Graham, with a heavily perspiring and just defeated Sergeant Slaughter. Angry. I didn't catch it. I think you hit the referee, Tony Gurria, and I want you to explain that. But I could clearly see that your foot was on the rope. And my professional opinion, Sergeant Slaughter, before we begin this interview, as the sweat pours down you, was that the referee had to be biased. I make that as an unequivocal statement on my part, and experts around the ring, which you heard and which I heard. My credibility's on the line. I'm telling you, no question, you are robbed. This is now the second time in a row. Would you explain it from your point of view, Sergeant Slaughter?
Well, it's plain and simple. Bob Backlund needs help hanging on to the world title from Sergeant Slaughter. Everyone, isn't it funny, everyone in the building, including this man, saw my foot on the rope, except you, Tony Gurria, the referee. The referee, the man that could have handed me the title, did see my foot on the rope. Well, let me tell you something. All you maggots listening to me right now, especially you, Backlund, because you're the biggest maggot of them all. Reagan hasn't declared war yet, but I'm doing it right now. A war. And I don't take no prisoners. Next time, Backlund, they're going to be carrying you out. And if there's a referee anywhere in sight, they're going to carry him out. It ain't going to work for you, Backlund. You can't hide. You can't hide behind a referee anymore. Because I want you in a special type of match. A special type of match that I used to do in boot camp. And you'll find out what it is. Because I'm right now on the phone with my lawyer, my general, and anybody else. And I want you real bad. And I'm going to have you right here. And like I said, I don't take no prisoners.
What did Tony Gurria say to you? I saw you speaking with him. You protested. What did he say to you, Sergeant Slaughter?
He didn't say anything. All he said is, you lost. You lost, Slaughter. I tried to explain to him my foot was still on the rope when Backlund was getting up. When he was getting his hand in the air. Well, let me tell you, it's not going to work. Because I am Sergeant Slaughter. I say so. And your days as a champion, Backlund, are numbered. They're few. And don't worry about some punk kid that's in a hospital. Worry about yourself, because you're going to be the next person we see in the obituary column come Philadelphia newspaper following our next match, because I've headed up to here. The fans, all those maggots have headed up to here. They know, as well as you know, that I'm the man that's going to take that championship away from me.
Sergeant Slaughter, I have to interrupt you. I don't think it's proper for you to call a kid in a hospital a punk kid. I know you're angry. You don't really mean
He's
that.
a punk.
Who is?
Not even a kid. He's just a punk.
Who?
Eddie Gilbert, the punk that got what he had coming to him. Do you know that when I whipped Bob Backlund in front of millions of viewers, do you know that that's the night that Gilbert got in the car crash? Bob Backlund didn't even care about himself. He went right to the hospital and sat all night with that punk. Well, Backlund, forget about sitting with him now. Worry about Sergeant Slaughter, because he's the one that's going to beat you and take you for your title.
Cal Rudman here with a champ, Mr. Champ, Bob Backlund. You did it. The stretcher match, you defeated that gentleman. And here with his manager, Arnold Skaaland, it was the chicken wing that did it. What happened, Bob?
Oh, that chicken wing's been one of Arnie and I's bread and butter, and I want to thank Mr. Skaaland. You know, he's the greatest manager a wrestler ever could have, and I put my hand out to him anytime, and he's done a lot of good to me, and then those people out there, all those friends out there. Boy, that means a lot when they're fired up and they're behind you, because this was a big one. It's sweet victory tonight. And, you know, there's some very special people out there at the Hessian House over in New Jersey and at the Evergreen House. Special kids that I visited, and I know they're out there. They're right behind me, and boy, it's a beautiful feeling to know you got a lot of friends. And, Mr. Rudman.
Well, whatever they say about you, I don't want to interrupt you, but whatever they say about you, one thing we know about you, and we all feel this way in the World Wrestling Federation, you do look out for the little guy. You've been champ a long time, but they can say anything they want about you, but I want it said right here on television. Is that right, Arnold Skaaland? He looks out for the little guy.
That's true. He's not only a champ inside the ring, he's a champ outside the ring.
Handicapped kids, wherever it is that he can help. Right. Now, with the chicken wing, you cut off the artery. What at first it cut off the shoulder. What happened?
First, there's a heck of a lot of pressure put on that shoulder.
Yes.
Because you get that arm and the chicken wing, and then you crossface, and you get that pressure against the artery supplying the blood to the vein, and there's the potential of putting somebody to sleep and putting them out. And you know, I don't want to do it for too long, but I want to do it long enough so I can win.
Yes. Why did you have to hit him on the head?
Because the match was over, Gal, and he was the winner, and he attacked Bob from behind, and he got in the Cobra clutch there, and I didn't want to see anything happen, so the referee couldn't make him break it, so I made him break it the hard way.
We all saw it. I just wanted you to say it. Congratulations again. Champ. That's the word. Champ. We'll be right back. Thank you, Dick Graham. Tiger Lee and Mr. Fuji up against the profile Pretty Boy twins, Tony Garea and Eddie Gilbert. Are you going after Eddie Gilbert's neck?
Look, boy son, we go for either opponent, Garea or Eddie Gilbert. Neck, leg, body, no mean no difference to Mr. Fuji and Tiger Lee, because we emphasize to public, to all American fans, when we in ring, we're in ring to win. Also, we're in ring to torture. We make them scream like American pigs. We make them yell and beg. That's what we do. We don't just beat right away, 1, 2, 3. We take time. We make them suffer. That's what we love to see, face suffer for pitiless and help. You understand?
Oh, I understand. Is that the way you feel about it?
He don't talk nothing.
No talk?
He don't say nothing. All he do is do, when Mr. Fuji said, Lee, you go. You torture. You make him suffer. He look at Mr. Fuji. He said, very good, Mr. Fuji-san. Because me, Fuji-san, Japanese. Him, Korean. Japanese is captain. You understand?
I understand.
You understand? Very good, American boy. Yes. You very good announcer. Very good mind. Now you understand, Gilbert? And you, Garea, you in big trouble tonight. I am very, very sorry for you too. Very, very sorry. Perhaps both go out crippled. I don't know. But perhaps you don't see tomorrow. I'm very sorry too.
How do you plan to counter their speed?
We don't plan nothing. We just use our ring psychology, because I am the master of martial art. He's the master of taekwondo, the kicking karate from Korea, and I'm master of everything. We don't make no plan. We just do what we're going to do.
Would you like to say goodbye to the audience?
You don't say nothing. I say everything. What's the matter with you? I am captain, and me, when I speak it for me and Charlie. You understand me? Banzai!
We'll be right back. Thank you, Dick Graham. And who do you suppose is sashaying in here? Bad to the bone.
Killer Cal, my main man, you know, I got the guns up in the air, and I wanted to warn you. I wanted to warn all of Philadelphia. It wasn't a 747 coming in for a crash landing, Daddy. It was just a 24-inch pythons, the largest arms in the world, Daddy. Check them out, Killer Cal. Bigger than your head, bigger than everybody's head. But that's the thing. That's what it's all about. I train, I say my prayers, eat my vitamins, and I'm on an all-natural high, man, because I just rode by the front of the spectrum. See my main man, Sly Sloan, standing in front with his arms raised in victory, and then I pulled around the side. And when I parked my Lincoln Continental, there was a riot going on, man. I mean, there was a party. All my people were out in the parking lot. They were drinking beer. They were training in the parking lot. And Hulkamania was running wild. That's why I'm so psyched up. That's why I'm ready for Paula. And you know, Cal, I kind of pity the dude. I kind of pity the dude, the way he swishes around the ring, the way he throws his shoulders back and looks down on everybody. And I pity the dude because tonight, the Hulkster gets to wrap his paws around his neck.
Well, I was watching Paul Orndorff on the TV, and he had some very interesting things to say about you. He said that you're a movie wrestler. You're not in real life. You know, he was fullback for the New Orleans Saints for 5 years, and he's got a tremendous physique. He said that all you can do is pick up the aforementioned Sly Stallone, but when it comes to him, that's something else. You want to comment on that?
Well, you know, Killer Cal, talk is cheap, man. We can talk all night long. Matter of fact, me and Paula, we've been talking about each other for quite some time. But the thing is, you're halfway right, Paula, but only halfway. I did have a permanent address on Hollywood and Vine. Took my main man, Sly, pressed him over my head, and sent him into orbit. Turned everybody on. Box office attraction. But now you got to realize, don't laugh until I tell you, now you got to realize, man, I'm the WWF, the World Heavyweight Champion, the real champion from Madison Square Garden. This is for real, Daddy, and this is the bone that all the dogs want. But the thing is, I'm the big dog in the junkyard right now, the baddest dog there is, and with the 24-inch pythons, I'm going to keep chewing on this bone. So, doggy, bow, wow, 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 bow, come get the bone, Orndorff, if you got enough guts. Step in the center of the ring with a holster, man. Come try to take the bone away from the junkyard dog. But the thing is, Killer Cal, have you ever fell in love with a woman, man, so bad it made you shake, rattle, and roll, and you dropped to your knees? Did you ever fall in love like that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know you did. Did you lose it? I bet you lost it, though. But that's the thing. You lost it. I knew you did. That's the same thing that happened in Madison Square Garden when I won the WWF title. It was something that took me over like an earthquake. I fell in love with the WWF. I fell in love with the world title, and it's a feeling that I'm not going to lose, Daddy. I'm not going to lose it because I want to keep it, man. I like being number one. I like being on top, and I like the fact that everybody out there in the spectrum is behind me. It kind of drives me wild, man. I feel the energy, the Hulkamania, the psych, the electricity, and it just pumps me up because I drain all the power from my people, and then I use it on my opponents. And tonight, Paula, what you going to do when the Hulkster and Hulkamania is running wild on you?
Well, you heard the Hulkster answer the words of Paul Orndorff. Now you're going to see him answer him in the ring. We'll be right back. Thank you, Dick Graham. I'm here with Nikolai Volkoff from the Soviet Union, who was an Olympic wrestler. Now you're facing Rick McGraw. Do you feel any concern about this match?
No, because where I come from, in Russia, and wrestling is #1 sport. It's a national sport. Rick McGraw is just another short guy, little midgets. And when you have giant like me, 313 pounds against little midgets, you have no competition. You don't have nothing. I have nothing to worry about. I'm very comfortable. I would like to go there and show them what's the wrestling all about.
Well, I would agree with you on this particular match, Nikolai. Now, it's been a great tradition over many, many years in the Red Army as far as wrestling is concerned. Why is wrestling the #1 sport in the USSR?
Well, wrestling actually one of the oldest sport in the whole world. It started in all Greeks, like 2,000 years ago. And in Russia, I love it because it's a competition between two gentlemen to see who is stronger, who is better. And in history, it always used to be competition. And now, today, we have modern Olympics. In 1980, I was in Russia, Moscow, and I was preparing myself for Olympics in 1980. But as you know, the Americans didn't show up there. That's the reason why I come here. To come right here in your home, in your backyard, to challenge any American professional wrestler who have enough guts to sign contract against me. When I come to their ring and I show them what wrestling is all about, because I don't think the wrestling
or any sport should be mixed with the politics. Wrestling should be pure wrestling, sport should be pure sport.
How would you compare the level of wrestling in Russia? Of course, there are no professional athletes as such there, with wrestling here in the WWF.
Well, it's different in Russia and in the United States. It's different. Like Russia, we have clubs all over Russia. We have about 10 million registered wrestlers, amateur wrestlers. We have like 50 million registered professional weightlifters. And here in the United States, to be in wrestling, you have to be in a school, college, or high school. In Russia, no. You can belong to the club, and everything is free, too.
What do you think of the level of wrestling in the WWF, the competition that you face? Obviously, you hope to become champion here.
Sure, I hope to become champion, and competition is pretty good. You have wrestled all over the world right here on this spot. Hogan is very good wrestler, he's strong, he's big, but I will try my best to beat him.
Thank you very much. Nikolai Volkoff up against Rick McGraw. You'll see how he does. We'll be right back. Thank you, Dick Graham. Cal Rudman here with Sammartino's father and son. Well, I saw a lot of things on television about this match with Paul, Mr. Wonderful Orndorff, and Bobby Heenan. He calls himself the Brain. Is that the appropriate description?
Well, I guess according to him it is. I could call him some other names, which won't.
You mean like brainless?
But nevertheless, he's been quite a capable wrestler for a long time. Heenan has been, and he's quite a manager. So he's a dangerous man.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction. I think there's going to be trouble at Black Rock, trouble at the OK Corral, no matter what or no matter how restrained you try to be.
Well, there won't be any problems from me as long as Orndorff and David are in there wrestling and Heenan keeps out of it.
You know he won't keep out of it. Come on, let's be realistic.
Well, then I won't be out of it either, will I?
No, you've
That's
lost.
why I'm here.
Yeah, you've lost about 20 pounds. You look terrific.
Well, I'm down to 240, no longer 265, but it's because I run about 8 miles every day. So if Heenan's going to start something, he's going to have to run fast to get away from me.
All right. How do you feel about the match tonight, David? It's your toughest test so far.
That's right. You know, this is one match I've always looked so forward to because I consider Paul Orndorff one of the top professionals in professional wrestling today. And, you know, you talk about climbing a ladder. Well, that's what it is every time I'm in there with an opponent that's climbing a ladder. And tonight it happens to be Paul Orndorff. And the only thing I can say is I've been training hard, and I'm going to give it 100%, and I'm glad the dad's going to be there to keep an eye on Bobby Heenan, because let's face it, we all know what Bobby Heenan's capable of doing. This way I can keep total concentration on Paul Orndorff, and a man like Orndorff, you have to do that. You have to have total concentration.
It sounds like it's going to be a four-man match to me before it's over. Do you anticipate that could happen? Realistically?
Well, you never know what happens, but my concentration is on Paul Orndorff. That's who I signed the contract to wrestle against, and that's who I'm going to face tonight.
What weaknesses of his do you think you might exploit? Because the match will start in about a minute.
Well, you know, that's tough because when you take Paul Orndorff, you're not going to find too many flaws at all. So, yeah, I just have to be on my toes 100% and hope for the best.
You know, he was a fullback for the New Orleans Saints back in the 70s.
Oh, Paul Orndorff has an extremely great credential background. Not only was he a great professional football player, but he was a great wrestler. I believe in track. He threw the javelin and holds a lot of records down there in Tampa.
I'm sure your father taught you a lot about wrestling. Did you get instruction in the gym from any of the other great wrestlers, friends of your dad, as you were growing up?
Oh, sure. You know, everybody gives their opinions and tries to lend their help, but, you know, nobody's going to give it better to you than your own father.
Okay, we'll be right back, and we'll see what happens. Cal Rudman in the interview area with a man with his mind full of the concept of revenge. Ricky Steamboat. This time he's got a partner. And what happened to you, Ricky, shouldn't happen to a dog, because you are hanging like a dog by your neck. You want to tell the fans about what it felt like and how you feel now?
Well, I'm sure everybody can imagine what it feels like to be hanging, you know, with a rope around your neck. I'm sure everybody out there has seen the cowboy movies and all that kind of stuff. But when it happens to you in live and in color, and it happens to yourself, and just for the few seconds that it was choking the life out of me hanging there, a million things go through your mind. But I think the main thing that goes is how to get out of something like this, which has got a death grip around your neck. It's hard to describe it because it happened so fast. And fortunate enough, I had Santana and Junkyard Dog at the present time that they were at the arena watching the match to just take the interest. And they came to my aid. But revenge is on my mind, but I think the biggest thing that I can say right now about revenge is the fact that I've got a man that stands about over 7 feet tall tonight and weighs 470 some odd pounds.
And he has revenge on his mind because they cut his hair off, claimed they drove him out of the country, and humiliated him, a man that can't be humiliated. So that's two of you.
Yeah, that's true. He knows the feeling of being embarrassed in front of millions of people, and the humiliation he has suffered, I guess, the months that he's been away. And something like this to happen to such a big man. So when I talked to him, he could relate with what I was feeling and what I was trying to get across to him. And without a moment's hesitation, he signed on to be my partner. Now, the last time that I was here, it was Fuji and Morocco 2 against 1. And on TV, everybody saw me being hung 2 against 1. Well, I feel right now that I've got about 20 men on my side against those two guys because of Andre's skill and his size and his strength. And I went to him first. You know, a lot of fans were saying, what about Jimmy Superfly Snuka? He's back at the islands on a vacation. I didn't want to pull him away from that. I wanted to get the biggest, the baddest man that's in wrestling. And even though that the fans do love Andre, he does have a temper. And he can just go irate throughout the ring. And this is, you know, I don't want or like to do this in the ranks of wrestling.
I know that.
But just a small sense of getting even, and maybe this thing between Morocco and I can start settling down to where we can actually pinpoint each other in a one-on-one situation and have a wrestling match. But it's come to where I have to go and get somebody like Andre as a partner.
And everyone in Hawaii is waiting for the results of what happens tonight. Forget about it.
Jesus. You know, when the news about me being hung got over there, and then all the wires started coming back to my house. Now this outcome, and then they all heard that I've got Andre as a partner. Oh, and it just boom, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I feel happy, I feel good, and it's not that good sense of feeling, not that, you know, the feeling of goodness that I have when I go into the ring, because this is the feeling that I have of just total revenge. And with Andre on my side, I think I'm going to get my fulfillment tonight.
Okay, we're going to see what happens right now. We'll be right back. Killer Cal Rudman here, and all my friends out there in Delaware Valley, eat your heart out.
How'd you get that name, Killer Cal?
I got it from Hulk Hogan. And then he calls me Cosmic Cal Morocco.
I like that.
Well, I haven't seen you in a while, baby. It's been too long.
Is this on the air?
Yeah. Now, let's get this business out of the way. You're going to fight the Spider tonight. She's a tough lady.
That's right. Yes, she is. I know anyone that Moolah has trained and managed is a tough competitor, and I can't take them lightly in the ring because they're going to go to no end to take the belt from me because Moolah is so envious and jealous that she doesn't have the belt. She doesn't care who has it as long as I don't.
Yeah, it's really eating Moolah's heart out, and it's a difference when women compete and men compete. You want to explain the psychology to the male athletes out there?
Well, I like to think of it like lightweight or middleweight boxing compared to heavyweight boxing. There's more action, they're quicker, and just a whole lot more excitement to me than the heavyweights, you know, than the men's wrestling, because we're a lot lighter, so there's more action, and sometimes we're out there fighting tooth and nail.
Well, women explained to me, they said, one thing about us women, we're very catty. Now, how does that translate when women actually get into physical combat?
Well, women are quicker, and they're more agile and more unpredictable than men's wrestling. I've studied a lot of women's matches, and sometimes you don't know what they're going to do next. Whereas men, you can kind of, you know, tell what's going to happen next.
When women get mean, how mean do they get, both outside the ring and inside the ring?
Well, they get mean. Let me tell you, I've had my toughest matches with the Fabulous Moolah, and Judy Martin is a tough competitor along with Leilani Kai. And Spider Woman, I've only had one match against her, and she was very, very strong and young. And just knowing that Moolah is her manager, that, you know, I have to keep that in mind, especially if she's out there in her corner, because it's like I'm wrestling two people instead of one.
Do you see more women getting into professional wrestling?
Yes, I do. Girls all the time are asking me, how do you get in professional wrestling? I always tell them to finish school because there's no guarantees. You may have your back broken or neck broken one night, and you have to have something to fall back on. But it's a tough sport, but if you love it, you should go for it. That's what I did, and I'm, you know, I reached my goal, and my goal now is to keep this belt, and I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
And I have to tell you, you are looking more beautiful than you ever have.
Well, thank you. Okay. What was your name again? Killer Cal?
Killer Cal. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
We'll see what she does in just a few minutes. We'll be right back. It's rock and roll wrestling time. This is Cal Big Beat Rudman, my friend over 20 years. Jimmy Hart, who is known as the Gentrys, Keep on Dancing, Southern Boogie, Memphis.
You better believe it, big man. Has everybody got a copy of the new Worldwide Wrestling Federation album? You'll hear Eat Your Heart Out, Rick Springfield on it, baby. The greatest song ever written by Jimmy Hart, the greatest song on the album. But you know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about the Junkyard Dog tonight before I bring in Terrible Terry Funk. You know, the Junkyard Dog, he dumped water on me on TNT and like to drown me. He interfered in Terry Funk's matches. But tonight, you see, the Terrible Texans got him right where he wants him. But right now, get up close to that TV screen, baby. Put down those bologna sandwiches because you're seeing the greatest athlete in the world today, the bad man from Texas, Terrible Terry Funk.
Welcome, Terry, to the world of Prism Wrestling in Delaware Valley.
You know, I want to say something right now, that I have been a rancher and from a ranching family all of my life. So therefore, I know what farmers do for the world today. And believe me, I was a supporter of Farm Aid, because what farmers do and what the Funk family has done for generation after generation is we have fed this entire United States. And there are a lot of people like the Junkyard Dog that considers himself a street person. Well, let me tell you something. All he does is sit on his fat butt and collect welfare like a whole lot of other people that I know. But what I am is I am a wrestler, and I am an individual. I am not a member of the WWF nor any other huge organization. But what I want is I want to become the world's heavyweight wrestling champion. I want to beat Hulk Hogan, but I can't do that. Do you know why? Because I have got this buffoon, I have got this idiot, I've got this imbecile, and believe me, he is an imbecile, because his mother was an imbecile, his father was an imbecile. If you know anything about breeding horses or anything else, I am 95% sure that the Junkyard Dog is no more than an imbecile. Oh, are you sure? Aren't you sure that's true?
Well,
you should be. Do you know anything about horses? Do you know anything about horses? Do you know anything about street people? Do you know anything about farming? Do you know anything about taking the world care of the world today? Do you know anything about being the best wrestler in the world? Do you know anything about the profession itself? Do you realize that you are talking to a legend in the world of professional wrestling, meaner than a rattlesnake, tougher than shoe leather, more dangerous than a hollow-eyed scorpion, middle-aged and crazy, crazy like a fox? Does that make sense to you? And I'm going to show you how smart I am whenever I take care of the Junkyard Dog.
Well, he played on a line for the Green Bay Packers. That's going to be a tough match. We're going to see what happens right now.